be live.
Awesome.
Cool. I'll turn down the music here. Hey everybody, it's Deadlinux, and tonight I'm joined by the very wonderful Samara DeBlaine, of which you know her because she's a mod, and if you do anything nasty in the stream, she can actually still ban you from chat. But, you want to say hi, Samara?
Hello, everybody. Nice to finally get to talk to you guys via voice instead of just via chat, so.
Cool. And that picture in Ruby, are you going to be like this all night? Don't start with me. Sorry, I just heard the dog start. This is how it's going to be. Both the cat and the dog have already come downstairs and voiced their need for attention, so this should be interesting.
Hi,
you've already
Ruby.
been outside, Ruby. Oh, you'll probably see her because I got the other camera going. Anyway, welcome everyone. So tonight, Deadlinux Archives. We haven't had a Just Chatting stream in a while, and this one's going to be taken over by the poetry stream tonight, which was actually Samara's recommendation. She volunteered to read some work, and then so that's what tonight will be. It didn't work. You may cough or sneeze when you try to get on camera. There you go. That's as good as we get there. So welcome. Thank you for joining us. If you want to see what we're reading, or you want to read along while we're going along, assuming we're actually reading what's on the screen, I'm going to try to have what's being read on screen as we go. We'll see how that goes. But also too, if you put in exclamation point poem or poems in the chat, you'll see the full list, and you'll be taken to the Google Doc that will show you the list of those things. And Discord, don't you start doing that to me. Okay, so we'll see how things go on. But first, you heard her voice, but I thought, Samara, do you want to introduce yourself a little bit more? I mean, we know you as a mod, we've seen you in streams, we know you like Inigo, and you know you've been part of the Friends of Inigo. But do you want to tell us a little bit more about where the impetus this came from, some of the poems you chose tonight, just whatever you want to start off with, then we'll get started.
So, hi everybody, and this is sort of a way for me to dip my toes slowly into streaming. I don't have a rig powerful enough to actually video stream gaming right now, which will be the goal potentially for the future. But for now, it's fun to do a little bit of poetry streaming. I'll maybe be doing some narration of books in the future, because audiobooks are cool and all, but it's more fun to be able to narrate to an audience and get their reactions, especially if they have not heard the books before, or if I haven't read the books before, to have them, anticipating my reactions as I go through the book. So this is sort of a fun toe-dipping stream for me to get some experience and have fun with Linux, who's awesome. And yeah, poetry seemed like a fun way to start it out. I don't have a lot of modern poetry. I have mostly classics and everything. And so that will be mostly what I'm covering tonight. Oh. Yes, I was going to say that Linux is going to do the modern stuff. I'm going to stick mostly with classics, up to like maybe a little bit of Edgar Allan Poe and St. Vincent Millay. That's about as modern as I tend to get, so.
Rad. Well, cool. Well, thank you for that. So we'll see more of you in the future, is basically what you're saying.
Yes, when I'm not attempting to massage people, so.
Attempting to massage? Come here! Let me attempt to massage you! I know it's actually a business. I know it's a reputable thing.
I'm really, really good, but, half the time I'm like, okay, am I hitting that right? Yeah, there we go. There's the muscle. So.
Well, good. At least, as long as the people that you have muscles that are buying your services, I think that makes things a lot easier. It's the ones without that always make things difficult.
Yes, it does. No, I'm so busy that sometimes it's hard to schedule time in for other stuff, so.
Yeah, no, I hear that. Well, it's good to have you tonight, and this should be fun. So we'll just kind of go at it. Do you want to flip a coin who goes first, or would you like me to lead off, or how would you like to go?
Well, you are hosting the stream, and therefore I figure you should have first honor of going. So.
Oh, geez. Oh, great. Thanks, because I'm ready. Sure. Okay. All right. So as we'll do this, people also, I was kind of talking about this a little bit before. I have not turned off alerts or anything like that. So as we go through this, this is the first time kind of doing this with a poetry reading with another person on stream. So there may still be alerts. Don't be afraid to do that. That's fine. If we have to pause, we can do that. Whatever. And don't be afraid for that kind of stuff. If you feel like, oh gosh, I shouldn't have hosted, I shouldn't have done anything like that. No, don't worry about it. We'll figure that out as time goes on, because I'm assuming this will not be the last one. We'll be doing this sort of thing again.
If they interrupt my masterful interpretation of the Highwayman, I might just come hunt them down. But,
well, yes, then you get muted in chat, or worse. Remember, Samara is still a mod. She still has the sword by her name, and she is in chat. So please be kind. Beware. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Anyway, I'm not entirely totally kidding. So let me switch over to the very I made a special scene besides this one. So this is one we kind of same kind of thing as I got set up from Mr. DePenguin before, but this one I've set up specially for this stream, and you also may recognize the fantastic blue cat in the background because it's just so happened that I happened to get a screenshot with the journal that happened to have him on camera. So we'll do that. So this first one I want to do here to kind of lead off is a poem by W.S. Merwin. And actually you're looking at it right here. It's Berryman, and we're talking about a little bit about names with that. And this is the guy I always think of. It's been a month since you subbed. You're gonna use your Twitch Prime to me. Oh, well, Ridge, that's very kind of you. I appreciate that. I just like that you're here, Ridge. You know that. But what we're going to be doing here tonight this first one we're going to be doing is Skyrim Lover. That's all Samara. So she's got you covered. So pretty rad.
I've only got a couple of his poems selected for tonight. I'm saving most of them for in case we do a Halloween poetry stream, because of course you can't get better than some creepy poetry by Poe.
No, you really can't. No, that's a good call. Okay, cool. Oh, so I see how you're setting this up. We've already put the seed has been planted. Oh, we're gonna have a Halloween poetry stream. Did you know that? All right, so it's a thing. Okay, no worries. That sounds awesome. No, that sounds rad. Okay, so we will be. Oh, thank you for that. Thank you for following Yoshama633. Welcome to the stream.
That would be my husband who's sitting to the right of me.
Oh, that was what?
That would be my husband. Yoshima is my husband. So.
Your husband is Yoshima633?
That is my husband.
I'm famous now. I've been noticed by Senpai. Oh, wait. Oh, that's a
I was going to say, for all of you people who are wondering who the absolutely insane gentleman in the picture next to my face is, that would be my husband dressed as Squirrel Girl for the Comic-Con this past weekend. So.
There you go. It's pretty cool though. I like that. I love that picture.
Awesome.
I saw that. I just telling Samara. I thought that was the awesomest picture. Oh, it was rad.
As he likes to declare, half of that costume is alcohol. So.
What? You can make it. I'm not gonna go further with Joe because I know it's the truth. No. I know it's the truth. I've made many a costume out of alcohol. It works just fine. All right. So this first poem here, W.S. Merwin actually recently just passed away, but he was always had a special place with me because of this particular poem. I'm not necessarily a fan of everything he does, but this one I am. So let me pull it up, and this one I actually don't have the hard copy, so I will be reading on screen with you guys. So you should be able to see it. Yeah, I got a little book there, like the theme. I'm such a dork. All right, so, Berryman. So the title is Berryman. This poem is in reference to a poet named John Berryman, who was the mentor of W.S. Merwin's. And this is a poem I always bring up when I ever hear anybody who feels though that they are not doing things right, they're not doing they're not doing good enough, they're not performing well enough, they don't feel their work is any good. This is the poem I always come back to, and this is the one that always kind of sets me straight. So there's my intro. So this is Berryman by W.S. Merwin. I will tell you what he told me in the years just after the war, as we then called the Second World War. Don't lose your arrogance yet, he said. You can do that when you're older. Lose it too soon and you may merely replace it with vanity. Just one time he suggested changing the usual order of the same words in a line of verse. Why point a thing out twice? He suggested I pray to the muse. Get down on my knees and pray right there in the corner, and he said he meant it literally. It was in the days before the beard and the drink, but he was deep in tides of his own through which he sailed chin sideways and head tilted like a tacking sloop. He was far older than the dates allowed for, much older than I was. He was in his 30s. He snapped down his nose with an accent I think he affected in England. As for publishing, he advised me to paper my wall with rejection slips. His lips and the bones of his long fingers trembled with his vehemence on his views about poetry. He said the great presence that permitted everything and transmuted it in poetry was passion, and passion was genius, and he praised movement and invention. And I had hardly begun to read. I asked, how can you ever be sure that what you write is really any good at all? And he said, you can't. You can't. You can never be sure. You die without knowing whether anything you wrote was any good. If you have to be sure, don't write. And that I always come back to, because that last line is the truth. So it's, if you are doing something, you know, if you are a painter, or if you're a streamer, or if you're producing video, and I think I've actually used these lines. Yeah, this is the stream of the Deaf Poetry Jam. Exactly. I think I've used this line of Mr. the Penguin once or twice. It's like, you will never know. You may have followers, you may have views, you may have all that kind of stuff, but if you want to know if you're ever any good, no one's gonna walk up and tell you, yes, you're now good enough. You're a good whatever. It's like, if you have to be sure that what you're doing is good, then don't attempt it. If you have to be sure, if you're willing to give that up, the indirect way of saying it is that if you are willing to not be sure and take a risk, keep doing what you're doing. Facts. Yeah, exactly. So that's mine. So that was the first one there. So there.
He wasn't around when Emily Dickinson was writing her poems.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, there was a couple poets that had that same sort of that idea. Like Robert Frost used to say, if you have trouble writing, then lower your expectations. I think something similar to that. Yeah, Emily Dickinson was really hard on herself, if I remember correctly.
Oh yeah, she wouldn't even let anybody read her poems. They only found it pretty much bundled up in a drawer. That's
right. They were all published after her death. But yeah, same because of that reason. Okay, I'll shut up now. So let me turn it over to Samara. Samara, what do you have selected for us as your first perb of the evening? Sorry, I'm gonna stop being pretentious. Wait, I can't.
Well, let's see.
Chickies tendies. Sorry, I have to do this a little bit loudly. Give me one moment here. Chickies tendies. And I just want to say, I'm gonna have to do this. I'm gonna have to do this quietly because this is a poetry stream. And just say, I really do like chicken nuggets. There we go. Okay. Hey man, what's going on? What? I have to do it. I have to do it. This is what I do. Okay. All right. I'm sorry, Samara. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go for it. Which one were you going to pick?
Oh, you're good. You're good. I was going to ask the folks if they want to hear something more cheerful or a little bit not so cheerful. I have selections of both.
Yeah. What do you say, chat? Oh, sorry.
Also,
I keep cutting you off. I apologize.
You're good. You're used to streaming on your own, so this is totally fine. But no, I also have YouTube links to some of the pieces of poetry that I know that happen to have been set to music over the years. So as I read those, I'll pop the link into the chat, and you guys can check out the music later if you'd like, or at the same time, whatever.
Cool.
So, yeah.
So yeah,
anybody have any preferences?
Yeah, anybody who have preferences to? What did you say? You want something more spooky, more upbeat? What was it?
I was gonna say, you know, or at least, you know, slightly depressing. No.
Slightly depressing? Well, of course. We need to depress the hell out of chat.
Let's see. On the list, we've got the Ballad of the Harp Weaver, we've got the Highwayman, we've got Shiloh. Those are all not exactly the most cheerful of poems. And then, of course, you've got a couple of Poe poems. We've got The Height of the Ridiculous. We've got Sir Eglamour. So
I think
Laugh is everything, says Skyrim Lover.
There you go. Indeed. It's awesome. Well, it's awesome. We actually get to hear you. This is great. Poems about thongs. Do you have poems about thongs?
Oh, God.
I can't sing that song anymore.
The only kind of thongs that I might have poems about are the kind that are made of leather and they used to sling, you know, stones. That would be the only kind that I have, unfortunately, I'm sure. So.
He will find a way to take that into a sexual context. I'm going to warn you that now.
I believe you.
Yeah, so he's a very talented individual. Mr. Pink, don't
you know, I was a theater minor in college, and I was very naive before I became a theater minor in college. Nothing shocks me anymore.
Well, don't say that. Don't say that. He will take it as a challenge. We have to be careful.
Okay.
All right. Well, why don't you? Well, okay. Why don't you ask David?
Right, well,
does David have any preferences?
At least we got a vote from Skyrim Lover, so I will start with something.
Okay. Gotcha. Which one is it?
The Height of the Ridiculous by Oliver Wendell Holmes.
Gotcha. Let me grab it here. And perfect. Okay. I will actually. I'm going to mute myself here and let you have it. So go for it.
As my husband proceeds to make a sexual comment regarding a thong. Thank you, sweetie. Yes, also, I do apologize while we're listening if occasionally you hear noises in the background from chairs creaking or things clunking and everything. I do not have a nice closed-off space in which to do this. We're in a one-bedroom apartment, so it's open, and therefore, if you hear stuff, just ignore it. Alrighty. The Height of the Ridiculous. I wrote some lines once on a time in wondrous merry mood, and thought, as usual, men would say they were exceeding good. They were so queer, so very queer. I laughed as I would die. Albeit, in the general way, a sober man am I. I called my servant, and he came. How kind it was of him to mind a slender man like me, he of the mighty limb. He took the paper, and I watched, and saw him peep within. At the first line he read, his face was all upon the grin. He read the next. The grin grew broad, and shot from ear to ear. He read the third. A chuckling noise I now began to hear. The fourth, he broke into a roar. The fifth, his waistband split. The sixth, he burst 5 buttons off and tumbled in a fit. 10 days and nights with sleepless eye I watched that wretched man, and since I never dare to write as funny as I can.
Rhyming couplets, the thing that kills me the most. Actually, no, not rhyming couplets. This is ABAB, isn't it? No, this is AB. Now I have to get geeky. Time say. Oh, it's BD, right? Yeah. BD. Yep. No. It goes back and forth. That cheater.
This is Telio Bacon.
Oh yeah, you just saw that. Exits chat. Drops mic and exits chat. Exactly. When you tell Linux wants to laugh but he doesn't want to interrupt, achievement unlocked. I muted myself on purpose. For that reason. Thank you, Bacon, I love you. Thank you for posting the rules in chat. I think we'll be good. Boy. Hey, Artifice, what's going on? Dungeon, good to see you. ABAB. Damn, I'm in 8th grade English again. I used to do it. Poetry night has to stay forever. No, we got it. We've already determined there's going to be a Halloween poetry stream. Actually, I think I was told there was going to be a poetry stream. I didn't know it was scheduled, but now it's just.
I just said in case we did a Halloween poetry.
Oh, it's a thing now.
Talking about somebody telling you that you're going to do a Halloween poetry stream.
Too late. Put it on the calendar. No, I'm not kidding.
This is Telio Bacon.
I feel like I've never. How are you not banned? You've never done any of those things. How goes the poetry? We're on to number 3, I think, which is my turn, I think, right? Is that what we're doing?
Indeed it is.
Oh, God.
Sorry, I'm eating while I'm doing this too.
No,
so.
please do. No. I have no problem with that. Other streamers may refrain from eating on stream. Me, I drink to oblivion and then eat at the same time. Because we're pretty lax, to be honest. It's true. Okay, so hey Linux, I'm still here. I'm just listening to stream. Yeah, well, please do. I was gonna say, people, don't worry about it. As you may notice while we're reading, we may not be paying attention. So it's cool if you just want to hang out and listen, and if you want to say things, please do both. You know, it's like we said, we're trying to figure this out myself. There are no categories for poems on Twitch, so this is kind of a.
Artifice? I did miss Artifice. Oh hi,
yeah.
Artifice. There you are. Okay.
Yeah, there he is.
I suddenly saw somebody else tagging Artifice, and it was like, wait, I
you missed his telltale boy comment. Boy. Oh, not so great. Oh, legit had an aptitude test to work at a video store. What? Oh, jeez. Crazy. I'm a delinquent. You're not a delinquent. Okay. Okay, what did I do? I did. Oh, shoot. The next one I've got. Oh, we were bouncing around, aren't we? Okay.
Yes, we're bouncing. I don't think we have anything in any particular order.
Right, okay.
Organized? What's this?
What was that?
Organized? What's this you speak of? Organized.
No, I don't know what that word means. What?
No.
How dare would I speak that? Why would I ever bring that up? Okay, let's do this one. This is actually one of mine. So this one's a little bit, oh God. This is like the last real.
I read that one earlier. That's right in the feels.
This one? I was really proud of this one. This one took a lot of work. Yeah. Okay, so this one is, I'm gonna leave the music's low enough I don't think it's gonna hurt anybody. This is one of mine. Obviously, you get my name there. My name's, if you really wanted to, you could find out my name anyway. This is not hidden. This is called the Stepfather Syndrome. So I went to school for poetry as a graduate student in the MFA program here. And I didn't write a whole lot after I graduated because I moved in, got married, inherited 2 stepdaughters, and then, had to start getting in the middle of family life, like instantly. So I'm running them back and forth to school, to dance lessons, all this kind of stuff. Yeah, you graduate high school in 11, you don't need a goddamn aptitude test? I'm sorry, can you get a hair flip? Oh, well, of course, I saw that. I can do that request. Actually, I'll just leave the hair down. We can do that. So, you just God. See, now I know people are reacting while I'm actually on stream, sitting there giggling. What a god! Now, chickies, it's all because I follow your prime example, sir. Oh, jeez, you guys. All right. So this one I wrote after I started living with my wife and 2 girls, and one was they were tiny, and I wrote this after, for one, meeting their real father, and on and on, and then watching parents pick up their kids from dance lessons and things like that. I couldn't find that sound clip. Oh, you're fine. You're on it, guys.
Linux, I have so many background relaxation apps on my phone for in case people don't like my massage music. It's not even funny.
Oh, seriously? Really? Oh, and I just found ambient on Pretzel or whatever and just said, oh, sounds good. Okay. All right. So this one, I wrote about this one. So this poem is about that. So obviously I'm a stepfather, and this is a young stepfather's take on that. So without further ado, stepfather syndrome. So Solomon issued his verdict. Bring me a sword, divide the living child in 2, and give half to one and half to the other. The 2 mothers' reactions were worlds apart. The first mother pleaded with the king, "Oh my lord, give her the living child, and by no means kill him." But the second mother's words were chilling. "Let him be neither mine nor yours, but divide him." So that's the opening part of it for anybody who doesn't know that old school biblical reference of Solomon and the two mothers claiming the child. So one said, "Don't kill the child," the other one said, "Split him in half." So you have a big question after this read, okay? Don't let me miss it. All right. Wandering through the lobby of the dance studio like mewling sheep, children bump numbly into each other, into walls and tables. Women with wardrobes out of good housekeeping collect their progenies by chant. Okay, David, this is not in reference to you. It just happened to fit, okay? just have to say that here. Okay, sorry.
Dave is my husband, for anyone who's wondering why that.
Right, he's also he's the one with the squirrel girl outfit in the upper left corner of the stream, by the way. So women with wardrobes out of good housekeeping collect their progenies by chant. Come here, David. Don't touch her, David. 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 Each parent sees with an old priest's eyes, casually glancing over the herd like Solomon when he ruled over 2 mothers and 1 baby. Back then, a man arguing with a woman over flesh and blood, a daddy, might, too, have agreed to have his half split, wrapped, and handed to him like a tenderloin, while every mother screamed no forever. But in the dance studio, I neither deny nor claim, and the 2 little girls dressed in tutus and tights I brought to their ballet lessons aren't mine. I have no spare doorway in which I could pine for these girls. But after carrying them back and forth from dance to school, reminding them to put their carefully folded underwear back into their drawers instead of strewn on the couch, listening daily to stories of who said what when, my love plays the old wet nurse, applied dutifully. But when my wet nurse of love returns home to the town where I will die, no children will follow bawling and left behind. I too know that need to have 2 little girls cut in half to see what's mine and not mine, yet if their daddy came forward to claim his own in front of Solomon the king, we both would be left with our ears ringing in the church bells of their screams. So now, I watch the mothers' mouths closely, practicing how to wrap my lips around the long O sound and say, no, these girls are not mine. So that's that one. That's right. So that, yeah, it's a, I was really proud of that one when I got it. I haven't been able to do anything like it since. Okay, you had a big question after this read. Okay, here's where after this read, Chickies, do you have your question? How long ago was that? I wrote this, 7 years ago, 8 years ago. So I've been married for over 10 years now. So we just had our 10th wedding anniversary this last summer, so we'll be on our 11th.
I remember that.
Yeah. And hey, Colin. Yeah. How have your views changed since then?
Colin.
Well, chickies, both brothers are out of the house, and I got the house to myself now. No, it's a tough one. I don't think it's ever changed. I will always feel in the middle of that, and you can't get away from that. You always feel like I want to claim them for me. I can't. But that feeling of both maternal, paternal, maybe, whatever that is, and possession, those are there. You can't get away from it. So yeah, good question, Tendies. Thank you for that, crazy bastard. Cool. All right, Samara, your turn.
Okay. Let me turn on the fire crackling real quick and just see if it's too loud.
Let me pause pretzel here. There you go. You won't be competing with anything else here.
Okay. First of all, can people even hear that?
Why am I listening to my microphone? I hear your keyboard more than the crackling, I think. I'm more into just dildo and inside out penis jokes sometimes. I've got a poem I've got to read. I'm going to have to change it up. I'll grab it afterwards. Okay.
So it's supposed to be fire crackling, but it might sound like a keyboard over the microphone, so.
It might be what it is. It's cool.
Yeah. So we have crackles in the background. I don't know whether that's exactly what Skyrim Lover had in mind. Okay, she says she hears it.
She hears it? Okay. All right, which one do you got? Did you want to hit one of the pose?
Yeah.
And
they're short enough.
I was going to say you could do a couple of them.
Pose back to back. Yeah,
Go
I was going
for
to say
it.
if I could read them back to back, that'd be perfect because they actually are related.
Okay. Yeah. No problem. Let me pull up the one and then let me know to switch to the other one. Oh, cool. Okay, I'm going to mute myself so I don't get in trouble.
You trouble? No. Sonnet to my mother. Because I feel that in the heavens above, the angels whispering to one another can find among their burning terms of love none so devotional as that of mother. Therefore, by that dear name I long have called you, you who are more than mother unto me, and fill my heart of hearts where death installed you in setting my Virginia's spirit free. My mother, my own mother, who died early, was but the mother of myself, but you are mother to the one I loved so dearly, and thus are dearer than the mother I knew, by that infinity with which my wife was dearer to my soul than its soul life.
By the way, that tone at the end of the poem is actually built into the poem.
That was my phone. That was my bad. That was me.
So why this one? I think I can probably figure out like why it would be a good why it might be important to you, but
for one thing, actually, it's related to the next one I'm going to read, which is Annabelle Lee, which is one of his better known poems.
Gotcha.
But the sonnet to my mother, it's actually talking about his wife's mother, because she became sort of the mother to him in the absence of his mother. And also, he ended up loving her so much because she had given birth to the woman who, of course, he adored. So, as we're waving frantically to everybody. Hello, everybody!
Oh, it's Angel. Angel's in the chat.
Yes, I can see that. I
haven't seen him in so long. I was thinking about it too.
But, I'm waving in spirit, so.
You're waving in spirit? Yeah. Oh, so we have Angel. We have Samara on the phone. You know Samara. Samara on the phone on Discord, I should say.
I mean, it's kind of a phone.
It's kind of. How have you been? I've been good, man. Okay, so that's the first one. Let me grab the second one.
Yes. And let me
this one, Annabelle Lee, right?
Yes, and this particular one happens to be one of the ones that I know of that's been set to music in the past. So let me.
Okay.
Yeah. Away the notification. Okay. Angel. Yeah. So let me paste that. So this is Annabelle Lee, and the song link is by an artist named Sarah Yaros. It's coming up now. It's sort of a bluegrass tune, actually, which is cool.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. So if you guys want to listen to that in your spare time or right now or whatever, feel free.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, you're good. Annabelle Lee. It was many and many a year ago, in a kingdom by the sea, that a maiden there lived whom you may know by the name of Annabelle Lee. And this maiden, she lived with no other thought than to love and be loved by me. She was a child, and I was a child, in this kingdom by the sea. But we loved with a love that was more than love, I and my Annabelle Lee, with a love that the winged seraphs of heaven coveted her and me. And this was the reason that, long ago, in this kingdom by the sea, a wind blew out of a cloud by night, chilling my Annabelle Lee, so that her high-born kinsmen came and bore her away from me to shut her up in a sepulchre in this kingdom by the sea. The angels, not half so happy in heaven, went envying her and me. Yes, that was the reason, as all men know in this kingdom by the sea, that the wind came out of the cloud, chilling and killing my Annabelle Lee. But our love, it was stronger by far than the love of those who were older than we, of many far wiser than we. And neither the angels in heaven above, nor the demons down under the sea, can ever dissever my soul from the soul of the beautiful Annabelle Lee. For the moon never beams without bringing me dreams of the beautiful Annabelle Lee, and the stars never rise, but I see the bright eyes of the beautiful Annabelle Lee. And so, all the night-tide, I lie down by the side of my darling, my life and my bride, in her sepulchre there by the sea, in her tomb by the side of the sea.
Oof. He
like
can
a
get
gut punch to
away
the
with crap. I can't do that. So like this, the wee. Perfect. And he skips a beat to make it shorter. Arg!
Mm-hmm.
In her sepulchre there by the sea.
I can't even write poetry worth a darn, so I just read it. So yes, no, I totally see what you're saying. Is like, oh, why can't I write like this?
Oh, I can't either. I just get frustrated because I'm like, in her sepulchre there by the sea, in her tomb by the sounding sea. It is a half. He's cheating and skipping a beat to get the line to move faster, so he can get to the. So it gets that nice discordant weirdness in it. Just This is where I start flipping off the book.
The song is fun too. It changes the lyrics a little bit to make up for the fact that, of course, she's setting it to music, and so it can't quite follow the same rhythm that the poem does.
Oh, no kidding. Okay.
It does a really excellent job, yeah.
I don't know if it
And
really...
it also shortens it ever so slightly.
Yeah. That was sad and lovely at the same time. That's Poe for you.
I was gonna say.
Oh, that
if
son of a...
If he's not sad and lovely, then he's creepy, and that's Poe. He's one extreme or the other, generally speaking.
Yes, he's you don't want to be hanging out with him in alleyways at night. Yes.
No, or in wine cellars.
Well, yo, jeez, yeah.
Cask of Amontillado.
Cask of Amontillado, or the Telltale Heart, or
Mm-hmm.
I wrote one poem. It was the only one I ever liked. Really? You wrote, and it was the one you liked is the only one the one you wrote was the only one you liked. That works. EAP has so many great poems.
So I was gonna say, I'm taking it to be that she's the only one that she's ever liked, the one she's written, because it's the only one. But yeah,
that's fine. I only like the stuff I write. No, I'm just kidding. That's not true at all. There's a lot of stuff I've written that I've absolutely hated and it just drives me nuts. Wine cellars, hail Sithis. Exactly.
Very funny. No, Angel, you should look up the story, The Cask of Amontillado. Amontillado here.
I think he knows it. I bet you money he knows it.
Possibly, but in case people don't, the Amontillado is a type of wine, but it's got that lovely Spanish double L in it, which actually, Angel, you probably know, because I want to say that you're I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, so a cask of Amontillado. Really good, creepy story.
We've talked about that before. No, it's because I live in North Dakota. I have heard, what did I hear the other day? Somebody was reading a name out loud, and they said, oh, what was it?
That's why you've been buried in snow.
Well, yeah, there's that. Yeah, exactly. You have no idea. But no, it's they were trying to pronounce somebody's name. It was like Maria del Castillo, and I just cringed. I'm like, oh, great. We've given up on the double L in my entire state. Thanks. Just part of me just died. All right. You wrote you wrote many, but only you only liked one of them. The rest sucks so bad. Yeah, Castillo. Castillo.
Castillo.
Castillo. Let's see. What was my grandmother's maiden name? Cosio is my grandmother's maiden name. That was not the same thing. Not spelled the same. That was actually spelled like it sounds. But let's see. What was I going to say here? Yes. Edgar Allan Poe has so many great poems. Yes. That was his last complete poem. Is that true?
Possibly. It was one of the last ones that he wrote. I
Okay.
know that.
He didn't live very long. Was he part of the 27 Club?
No.
Or did he die? Okay, I gotta look it up now.
I was gonna say I had to look it up too. It's been a while since I've read about his actual life. Here, you know what? My book probably tells. Here, let's see. Let's take a look.
That's gonna 40. He was 40 years old.
Yep, 40 years. 1809 to 1849.
Wow. Oh, geez. He's my age. Great. That's just what I needed to look up. Thanks for that. That's not creepy at all. All right, moving right along.
Fine, Lennox. You're fine.
For the moment. Okay, I'm gonna read this next one. I'm gonna do. He was such a young man, had such an interesting life. Yeah. You can all can y'all read some Kanye West? That's true poetry right there. Only if it's in the game Saints Row 3 and it's the song Power from the penthouse scene. That's it. It's the only time I ever appreciate Kanye West. Once. I'm very specific with that because it's my favorite. Now you need some Jaden Smith tweets. Oh no. Oh jeez. All right, Samara, you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Oh, okay, cool. I'm always worried that Discord's suddenly gonna like have a stroke and die, so I'm never
Oh, no, don't worry. I'll type something in the chat if, for some reason I'm saying something and no one's hearing me. So,
Gotcha. Sounds like it's written by Paulo Coelho. Ah. Yeah, maybe mistaken. Oh, what was that? Coelho? Am I saying that?
Coelho.
Coelho.
H is silent. Paulo Coelho.
I'm screwing it up. They helped me open my... oh, God. They helped me open my third eye. God.
It's okay. I'm learning Gaelic, which has way more complicated letters in it and everything than Spanish. So.
Oh, yeah. No, I can't imagine. And, yeah, it's crazy. Good luck. God. I had to try and pronounce them.
I'm slowly getting it. Slowly.
It's good stuff, though. Coelho.
Oh, is it Coelho? Okay.
Coelho.
I thought that it would
Coelho.
be silent, Angel.
Yeah, well, see, Angel knows his shit. This is the thing. This is why whenever he's in chat, it's always kind of, you don't ever want to say anything dumb because he'll call you out on everything you thought you knew in the world, particularly as related to the Dark Brotherhood. Honestly, that sentence about Discord is a mood. Oh, how about Discord having a stroke? Ruby, you okay? Oh, you're just you're fine. Okay, the next poem I wanted to do was by a poet you may not have heard, which is Larry Levis. Larry Levis was a guy or a poet that was introduced to me that I really liked a lot of his work, and this one is the first one that was ever introduced to me, and I keep coming back to it because it's really trippy. Let me open it up and I don't have this one with me. I don't have the card copy of it. I do for some of the other ones. This one's a little bit longer, so I will hopefully not be taking too much time. But this one's weird. And one thing hey, Sly Hell, I saw you. You're lurking in the stream. The thing is, most of the time you have to know the person's origin to get the name right. So many pronunciation for words. Oh, yeah. True. Pronunciation is always like my stickler thing. Anyway, okay, focusing. I am focusing, I swear to God. So this poem I was introduced to after I started getting into... There's no real grouping for the poets like this, but there's a leap of connection here, and you're gonna see it. So this one's good to be seeing it on screen and read along with it a little bit. I mean, you don't have to be like watching every word, but this one, the sound is great. What you're going to be watching is it's going to go from image to image to image, and the images that it presents are more important because those will get you to leaps that they don't make sense. Your mind will try to make them make sense, and when you get to the end, it pulls together strangely, and it can be really good or it can really be really bad. But this is one of the ones that really got me into it after I started getting into more poets that were doing that kind of thing with images. And so this is a little bit of a trip. So I'll effing read it. At the Grave of My Guardian Angel, St. Louis Cemetery, New Orleans, by Larry Levis. Let me do full screen so you can see everything. For Gerald Stern. At 16, I was so vulnerable to every influence that the overcast light, making the trash of attics and sunbathers suddenly clear on the paths of the city park, seemed death itself spreading its shade over the leaves, the swan boats, the gum wrappers, and the quarreling ducks. It took nothing more than a few clouds straying over the sun, and I would begin falling through myself like an anvil, or a girl's comb, or a feather, dropped, tossed, or spiraling by pure chance down the silent air shaft of a warehouse, the spider web in one fourth-floor window catching, in that moment, the sunset. For in such a moment, to fall was to be simplified and pure, with a neck snapped like a stem instead of whoever I turned out to be, wiping the window glass clear with one cuff to gaze out at a 200-year-old live oak tethering the courtyard to its quiet. The tree so old it had outlived even its life as a cliché, and has survived, with no apparent effort, every boy who marched like a wilderness himself past it on his way to enlist in Lee's army, and now it swells gently in the mist and the early sunlight. So who saved me, and for what purpose? Beneath the small angel cut from cheap stone there was nothing but my name and the years 1947 to 1949, and the tense, muggy little quiet of a place where singing ends, and where there is only the leftover colored chalk and the delusions of voodoo, the small bones and X's on the stones signifying the practitioner's absence, entirely voluntary from the gnat swirl and the humming of time. To which the chalked X on stone is the final theory. It is even illiterate. It is not even a lock of hair on a grave, nor is it even the small crowd of roughnecks at Poe's funeral, nor the blind drunkard laughing there, the whites of his eyes, the unfurling of a cold surf below a cliff, which is the blank wave sprawl of fact receding under the cries of gulls, which is not enough. I should rush out to my office and eat a small freckled apple left over from 1970, entirely wizened and rotted by sunlight now. Then lay my head on my desk and dream again of horses grazing, riderless and still saddled, under the smog of the freeway cloverleaf, and within earshot of the music waltzing with itself out of the topless bars and the laundromats of East LA. I should go back again and try to talk my friend out of his diet of methamphetamine and vodka yogurts, and the look of resignation spreading over his face like the gray shade of a tree spreading over the sleeper in the park. For it is all or nothing in this life, for there is no other. And without beauty, Bakunin would go on making his forlorn and unreliable little bombs in the cold, and Oswald will adjust the lenses on the scope of his rifle, the one friend he has carried with him all the way out of his childhood, the silent wood of its stock as musical to him in its grain as any violin. This must have been what they meant, Lincoln and Whitman joining hands one overcast spring afternoon to stroll together through the mud of Washington at the end of the war, the tears welling up in both their eyes, neither one of them saying a word, their hands clasped tightly together as they walk for block after block past the bay, sorrel, chestnut, and dapple-gray tail swish of horses, and the waiting carriages, and neither one of them noticing, as they stroll and weave, the harness gall on the winters of a mare, nor the gnats swarming over it, alighting now on the first trickle of blood uncaking from the sore, and the underfed rib cage showing through its coat each time it inhales, like the tines of a rake combing the battleground to overturn something that might identify the dead at Antietam. The rake keeps flashing in the late autumn light. And Bakunin, with a face impassive as a barn owl's, and never straying from the one true text of flames, and Lincoln absent-mindedly trying to brush away the wart on his cheek as he dresses for the last time, as he fumbles for a pair of cufflinks in a silk-lined box, as he anticipates some pure and frivolous pleasure, as he dreams for a moment, and as a woman for a moment, and in his floating joy has no idea what is going to happen to him in the next hour? And Oswald dozing over a pamphlet by Trotsky in the Student Union? Oh, live oak! Thoughtless beauty in a century of pulpy memoir spreading into the early morning sunlight, as if it could never be otherwise, as if it were all a pure proclamation of leaves and a final quiet. But it's all or nothing in this life. It's smallpox, quicklime, and fire. It's the extinct whistling of an infantry. It is all the faded rosettes of blood turning into this amnesia of billboards and the ceaseless hum of traffic. It goes on, and I will go with it. It spreads into the sun and air and throws out a fast shade that will never sleep, and I go with it. It breaks Lincoln and Poe into small drops of oil, spreading into endless swirls on the water, and I recognize the pattern. There now, nothing. Stop your sniveling. Stop sifting dirt through your fingers into your glass of milk. A milk still white as snow, whiter even. Why don't you finish it? We'd better be getting on our way soon, sweet nothing. I'll buy you something pretty from the store. I'll let you wear the flower in your hair, even though you can only vanish entirely underneath its brown, implacable petals. Stop your sniveling. I can almost see the all-night diner looming up ahead with its lights and its flashing sign, a testimony to failure. I can almost see our little apartment under the freeway overpass, the cups on the mantel rattling continually. The Mojave one way, the Pacific the other. At least we'll have each other's company. And it's not as if you held your one wing, tattered as it was, in contempt for being only one. It's not as if you were frivolous. It's not like that. It's not like that at all. Riding beside me, your seatbelt around your invisible waist, sweet nothing. Sweet, sweet nothing. So, if you start singing along and humming along to Billy Joel's "We Didn't Start the Fire," that's about right. Because there's more references in that poem to history and things like that than you would possibly imagine. So, it's hard to follow. But if you can keep jumping, it pays off at the end. But it's a long poem to get through though. But that's one of the ones like that. So yeah, so that's Larry Levis. Also, too, again, it's mournful, yeah. It's sad, yeah. It's a little bit intense. Larry Levis had a lot of stand-up poetry. But the other thing, too, is if you're curious about that poem, we've got the link. If you do !poem or poems in the chat, you'll get the link to the Google Doc for this. So feel free to grab it, and then you can find the authors and all that kind of stuff, too. All right, Samara, it's your turn.
Okie dokie. Let's see. I was gonna say, I might have to lift the mood a little bit. Let me see.
Sorry! In between Poe and Levis. Yeah, we did a really good job bringing the mood down. Jeez.
It's okay. I have one more cheerful-ish one to offer, so let's
good.
That one.
Okay, is this the one you got your cursor? Okay, so is this Sir Eglamour?
Yes, Sir Eglamour.
Cool. I like Google Docs.
Another
I can
one
follow
that has
through.
a fun song to go with it, so let me paste the song. So the song is by an artist called Kate Resby, one of my personal favorite artists of all time.
Oh, cool. Okay.
That's the live rendition of the song, so it's super fun. All right. Now, this is by Samuel Rowlands, who they actually don't exactly know when he lived. The dates given are with question marks, but roughly 1570 to 1630. So this is an old one. It's
just
fun.
a bit.
Oh, an angel? Yes, it's definitely the case that he was referencing California in that poem. He referenced LA, he referenced Mojave and everything. I mean, yeah.
There's a couple different places.
From California in the past couple of years, so yes, definitely a lot of strong California imagery there. Yes. Alrighty, Sir Eglamour. Sir Eglamour, that worthy knight, he took his sword and went to fight. And as he rode both hill and dale, armed upon his shirt of mail, a dragon came out of his den, had slain God knows how many men. When he espied Sir Eglamour, oh, if you had but heard him roar, and seen how all the trees did shake, The night did tremble, horse did quake. The birds betake them all to peeping. It would have made you fall a-weeping. But now it is vain to fear, being come unto fight dog, fight bear. To it they go and fiercely fight a livelong day from morn till night. The dragon had a plaguey hide, and could the sharpest steel abide. No sword will enter him with cuts, which vexed the knight unto the guts. But, as in choler he did burn, he watched the dragon a good turn, and, as a yawning he did fall, he thrust his sword in, hilts and all. Then, like a coward, he did fly unto his den that was hard by, and there he lay all night and roared. The knight was sorry for his sword, but riding thence said, I forsake it. He that will fetch it, let him take it.
That's pretty good. Oh,
Yeah,
I
Leslie
imagine
in her song actually changes the dragon to a female, and so it gets an even kind of funnier context.
Oh no! Oh jeez! Oh, that would be a poem for Chickies at that point. I think. I think
There you go, Chickies. It's a poem for you. You just listen to the song and you'll be happy.
Awesome. Oh, cool. Let's see. I had a long one, so I think you get to have another one because that one was fairly short compared to Levis. So you want to go for another one?
Well, let me see.
Angel got it. Angel got the double entendre. Excellent.
That face stuff. That was fantastic. Okay. Let's see. Swallow my mouth full of food and get a drink of water while I'm looking for my next selection.
Actually, let me see if I can. I'll just do this.
Okay.
A little bit of noise in the background.
Let's see. Oh, let's see. We'll do Shiloh since it's another kind of shorter one, and then I can save the longer ones for in between yours.
Is it just me, or you all seem so happy doing this kind of stream? Just maybe. Thank you for the host, Angel. I appreciate that. Oh, that's right. I don't have the alerts on the screen. Okay, cool. So we don't have it.
We're literature lovers, Skyrim. We really can't help it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, we love poems, we love books, we love English.
Yes, much to our... Yes, much to our chagrin. Okay, you said...
Yeah.
Oh, Herman Melville. Oh, great. Okay. Here we go.
Yes. Yeah, I was gonna say, not a lot of people know that he actually did write poetry, too. But this is actually one of my favorite poems in general, but especially by Melville.
Yeah, I don't know if I know this one.
So, it is based off of the Battle of Shiloh, which took place during the Civil War. So that's why it's Shiloh, a Requiem, April 1862.
Cool. Not just yet, Angel. Not just yet.
That's hilarious, Angel. You know, actually, that could work because that's two different people talking, and Linux and I could totally take turns reading it. That would be bad, but hilarious.
Yes, it would be. Actually, I do think I think Arg does it too.
And there's the Sultry Argonian Bard, which was added by Dawnguard.
Oh, that's right. I don't think I ever read that one. I'll have to add it to my collection.
It's just as bad.
Oh, I can't imagine. Mentioning of tales and things. Goodness. All right, it's all yours.
Shiloh, a Requiem, April 1862. Skimming lightly, wheeling still, the swallows fly low over the field in clouded day. The forest field of Shiloh. Over the field where April rain solaced the parched ones stretched in pain through the pause of night that followed the Sunday fight around the church of Shiloh. The church so lone, the log-built one, that echoed to many a parting groan and natural prayer of dying foemen mingled. Foemen at morn, but friends at eve. Fame or country least their care. What like a bullet can undeceive? But now they lie low, while over them the swallows skim, and all is hushed at Shiloh. I know, so uplifting.
I was gonna say so much for trying to get out of the depressing poems.
Right.
We didn't last very long for that
cheerful
one.
Poems. I'm sorry. I have a whole book of poems of fun and fancy, but I only selected 2 out of it for tonight. So.
Yeah, I'm never really good with those anyway. Give me the depressing ones that are depressing and
that
mournful.
meme a lot.
Yeah.
No, I mean one of my favorite lines in the whole thing is "What like a bullet can undeceive."
Yeah,
And
I
that's
love
part
that.
of the-
That was bad.
There's a
I
song.
love what like a
I know,
bullet
right?
can undeceive. I love that. That's a hell of a line. That actually made me think of another one that I gotta now find quick.
Okay.
It's
While
like
you're finding it, there's a song called "Christmas in the Trenches," which the artist that I know who does it is John McCutcheon, and it tells the story of in World War One, how they had that basically spontaneous truce the night of Christmas Eve, and came out of the trenches. They played soccer. They shared drinks and everything. They shared cigarettes. It was the Germans and the English and everybody else. And
that's right.
it's a beautiful story. But one of the last lines of the song says, "Soon daylight stole upon us, and France was France once more. With sad farewells, we each began to settle back to war. But the question haunted every heart that beat that wondrous night: whose family have I fixed within my sights?"
Yeah. Well, this one's this one's gonna be about the same way. That's a rad. Which one is that one?
That's actually a song. Here, I'll pull up the YouTube link and I can link it in the chat. But it's a song, "Christmas in the Trenches" by John.
By who? What was the last part?
John McCutcheon. And let me
Okay.
pull it up right here. And copy link.
Okay, so Discord was trying to pull a little bit of goofiness there. Okay. Well, while you're doing that, I can actually. Oh, there we go, John McCutcheon. Cool. All right.
Yeah, beautiful song, and he does great guitar with it too. So.
Yeah, it sounds like it's really pretty. So this is the one I was thinking of. Which is it's very, very short. The Death of the Ball Turret Gunner. Do you know this one? Mm-hmm. Oh, you do?
I want to say that I've maybe heard it once, but it was a long time ago, and it was one of those that's so short that it doesn't necessarily pique the memory right off the bat.
Oh, really? This is one of the first poems I think I ever memorized, just because it was so short, and it's so haunting. So kind of going along the same lines of the last line, or that line you pointed out from the last poem.
Mm-hmm.
What does undecide more than or better than a bullet?
Yeah, a bullet can undeceive. Yep.
Can undeceive. So this is the Death of the Ball Turret Gunner. From my mother's sleep. Oh, what?
I'm so sorry. David started reading ahead of you, and he just big sad groan next to me. So I'm so sorry.
Oh, you mean of the Death of the Ball Turret Gunner? Yeah.
Yes, he has it pulled up on the screen, so he was like, "Oh."
Oh God, why? Yeah, you're about to get that response. That's exactly what you're supposed to have here. Death of the Ball Turret Gunner. From my mother's sleep, I fell into the state, and I hunched in its belly till my wet fur froze. 6 miles from earth, loosed from its dream of life, I woke to black flak and the nightmare fighters, and when I died, they washed me out of the turret with a hose.
Oh.
I think that's... God, I want to say that's World War II. Must be.
Ouch.
With the flying fortresses. So yeah, and if anybody who knows the story about the flying fortresses and the Ball Turret Gunners, I mean that's y'all know how that happens.
Yeah,
so,
David's confirming that yes, it was World War II. He has a flight sim that he flies all the time. He's very, very, very into airplanes.
Wait, are you playing? Is that War Thunder? Is he playing War Thunder?
No, he's playing DCS. It's Digital Combat Simulator. And,
hardcore.
It's
okay.
Very, very realistic airplanes.
No, what was that? Was that insulting? I said War Thunder? Ah. Wow.
To the man behind the computer screen.
I'll make sure to raise my interest and eyebrows. Oh, no. That's okay. I'm worse. How dare you? Why are you playing Oblivion? Everyone's playing Skyrim. Oh. Anyway. Okay. So I think you're who's up? Is it you or me?
Well, I think it's still technically you because I just read 2 in a row. And then you read the quick short one just because it related a little bit to Shiloh and to what like a bullet can undeceive. So yeah, go for it.
Let me see if I have another short one is my question here. Oh!
And yes, Angel, that's correct. It's the World War II bomber flying fortress that he's referring to. Right,
where you had the glass bubble on the bottom. Yeah, that's what they're talking about. Oh, it's Sarah's turn? Or Sarah's turn. Samara's turn? Okay. So, well, Angel said...
Whatever.
Angel said...
Okay, Angel said I will pick out a a selection then. Okay, let's see. We've got...
Then I'll go on to this guy who's got a bunch of short ones, which actually goes along with the Larry Levis poems, so.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, I was gonna say I've got 2 slightly longer ones left. I've got the Ballad of the Harper and the Highwayman.
Okay. Oh, Edna St. Vincent Millay. Oh.
Oh, you want me to finish off with that one?
No. You can do whatever you want. No, I keep, every time I hit her name and I see her name, I hear her voice off the readings that I've heard off the internet and off of the, there used to be a poetry compilation back before the internet really had a whole lot of readings loaded. And I had they had all the CDs in the back, and hers was of childhood. And I can still hear it in the back of my spine where she's saying, childhood is the place where nobody dies. I'm like, oh God. So that's what I always hear her voice whenever I see her name. So that's why. So no, read whichever one you want. Just let me know which one you're looking at, and then I'll pull it up.
Yeah, pull it up real quick. Okay, we'll do the Ballad of the Harp Weaver. This is a good one.
Okay.
Incidentally, I did not link the audio because it's not technically a song, and it was interesting. But Johnny Cash actually does a reading of this poem. You can look it up on YouTube, which I was astonished to find out. I had no idea that he did a reading of the Ballad of the Harp Weaver, but he actually does a pretty decent job. So.
Of the Ballad of the Harp Reaver, really? Okay.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That does actually just kind of surprise me. I wouldn't have expected that.
I know, me neither. It was from Johnny Cash, but no, he does. There's a Christmas album interpretation of it, I think, and then there's also one where he does it live that I've seen. So, okay, Angel, no worries. My username is not exactly user friendly, so yeah, don't worry about misspelling it.
You have to pronounce the last name though too if you're gonna do that. Oh, okay. I'm going to shut up at this moment because the dog is about to start running around anyway. So here we go.
Hi, Ruby. Okay. The Ballad of the Harp Weaver by Edna St. Vincent Millay. Son, said my mother when I was knee-high, you've need of clothes to cover you, and not a rag have I. There's nothing in the house to make a boy breeches, nor shears to cut a cloth with, nor thread to take stitches. There's nothing in the house but a loaf end of rye, and a harp with a woman's head nobody will buy. And she began to cry. That was in the early fall. When came the late fall? Son, she said, the sight of you makes your mother's blood crawl. Little skinny shoulder blades sticking through your clothes, and where you'll get a jacket from God above knows. Oh, it's lucky for me, lad, your daddy's in the ground, and can't see the way I let his son go around. And she made a queer sound. That was in the late fall. When the winter came, I'd not a pair of breeches nor a shirt to my name. I couldn't go to school or out of doors to play, and all the other little boys passed our way. Son, said my mother, come, climb into my lap, and I'll chafe your little bones while you take a nap. And oh, but we were silly for half an hour or more, me with my long legs dragging on the floor, a rocking to a Mother Goose rhyme. Oh, but we were happy for half an hour's time. But there was I, a great boy, and what would folks say to hear my mother singing me to sleep all day in such a daft way? Men say the winter was bad that year. Fuel was scarce, and food was dear. A wind with a wolf's head howled about our door, and we burned up the chairs and sat upon the floor. All that was left us was a chair we couldn't break, and the harp with a woman's head nobody would take for song or pity's sake. The night before Christmas, I cried with the cold. I cried myself to sleep like a 2-year-old. And in the deep night, I felt my mother rise and stare down upon me with love in her eyes. I saw my mother sitting on the one good chair, a light falling on her from I couldn't tell where, looking 19 and not a day older, and the harp with a woman's head leaned against her shoulder. Her thin fingers moving in the thin all strings, or weaving wonderful things. Many bright threads from where I couldn't see were running through the harp strings rapidly, and gold threads whistling through my mother's hand. I saw the web grow and the pattern expand. She wove a child's jacket, and when it was done, she laid it on the floor and wove another one. She wove a red cloak so regal to see. She's made it for a king's son, I said, and not for me. But I knew it was for me. She wove a pair of breeches quicker than that. She wove a pair of boots and a little cocked hat. She wove a pair of mittens, she wove a little blouse. She wove all night in the still, cold house. She sang as she worked, and the harp strings spoke. Her voice never faltered, and the thread never broke. And when I awoke, there sat my mother, with the harp against her shoulder, looking 19 and not a day older, a smile about her lips, and a light about her head, and her hands in the harp strings, frozen dead. And piled up beside her, and toppling to the skies, were the clothes of a king's son, just my size.
Oof.
Yes, that one is hard, but it's one of my favorites too.
All of hers are difficult, if I remember correctly. Like she's a hell of a poet. Holy crap.
Yeah, she is. It was sort of a choice between this one and Renaissance, but I like this one a little bit better.
What was the other one you were thinking of?
Renaissance?
Oh, Renaissance. Renaissance or Renaissance?
No, spelled
Spelled funny, right?
There we go. Yeah, that way. It'll pop up on your feed in a minute, but yeah.
Oh, geez.
No,
okay.
It's a little longer. But yeah, no, that one has always just been the beauty of sacrificial love really gets me in that poem. You're probably all lucky I wasn't crying, because usually by the end of the poem I'm like, but, yeah.
Yes. Good. I'm not the only one getting. I was kind of getting there myself.
No, I absolutely cry whenever I read that poem. I had to sort of compose myself a couple times. It's like, okay, breathe, don't cry on stream. You're gonna be fine.
Don't cry on stream yet.
Yeah, yet.
we need those views, my God, give it your all. No. If everybody like, follow, and subscribe, God damn it. Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. Doesn't work. It doesn't work like that. It might work like that. Cool, that was a good one. I like that one. Sweet, now I gotta follow it up. I don't know if I have anything. Let me look. Oh, yeah, I do. Yeah. Oh, I was gonna do some of James Wright's. Let me do a couple of these. These are, don't feel bad. That was a harsh poem. Yeah, that was a harsh poem.
It's hard, but it's gorgeous.
Okay, so this guy, this is James Wright. So I'm gonna go to small or shorter poems for two, if I might. And this guy was a lot for that imagery sort of thing, again with the jumps, with the leaps, that Larry Levis kind of had. This is one of the guys that helped start it, and he was actually a good friend of another poet by the name of Robert Bly. Those two kind of helped push forward a lot of the movement of poetry in the Midwest that influenced a lot of what I learned. So this guy was basically, I wouldn't say he was required reading, but if you didn't get into him at one point in time, you were missing part of the voice and missing part of the story. So that's James Wright here, and actually I do have the book here, but I wanted to make sure I had it on screen because it does look just as good as it sounds. Let me do this one. This one I don't have listed. I'll put it there quick. Jeez. Let me put it there quick so in case anybody wants it, I can grab it. There we go. All right, so this is Autumn Begins in Martins Ferry, Ohio, which is where he grew up. And he did eventually come out to North Dakota, oddly enough, and Minnesota, so they are homeboys. Let's see here. Autumn begins, autumn begins, autumn begins, autumn begins. There it is, 15. Okay. All right. So this is James Wright. Autumn begins in Martins Ferry, Ohio. In the Shreve High football stadium, I think of Polacs nursing long beers in Tiltonsville, and the gray. Oh, actually, no, this is completely inappropriate to read on stream. So I would say the gray faces, but I'm not going to go any further than that because actually, I'm not happy with that line now. Sorry. Let me find a better one. It's a great line, but it does reflect the views and his views at the time too. Not exactly the best perspective. Let me try a different one here. And as I completely blush.
Only.
What was that?
Stream for mature audiences only.
Well, yeah, right. No, that one, that's pushed a little bit too far that I'm willing to go tonight. Let's see. So then I have to explain it. You guys saw it though, anyway. So, let's see. No. There it is. Okay. Okay. Reading for any sort of racist commentary. No. Good. All right. Perfect. Okay. Mostly it's for the imagery of this guy too. So, lying in a hammock at William Duffy's farm in Pyland, Minnesota. This is where he wrote a lot of his work. I think this is about the time he was also a fairly heavy drinker at this point as well, which eventually did end his life. All right. Over my head, I see a bronze butterfly asleep on the black trunk, blowing like a leaf in green shadow. Down the ravine behind the empty house, the cowbells follow one another into the distances of the afternoon. To my right, in a field of sunlight between two pines, the droppings of last year's horses blaze up into golden stones. I lean back as the evening darkens and comes on. A chicken hawk floats over, looking for home. I have wasted my life. So, it's a little bit... Yeah, not even beer can get past the Twitch censors, exactly. Although I've been able to do it. So this one's a tough one, right? Because it pulls you along, even like with the droppings of last year's horses blaze up like golden stones. So obviously, if you know horses, which I know Skyrim Lover and Samara, both you do, you can get that reference. You can get that picture in your head, and it sounds like, oh, okay, I get where he's coming from. That sounds great. And all of a sudden, at the end, you have, I wasted my life. Pulls you right back out of it, and that's exactly what we wanted to have happen, because he was obviously suffering a little bit. But pretty good poem by him. So that's kind of one of the things that does it. Let me grab another one. Speaking of horses, there's another one he's got.
Yeah, it sounds great, but it smells horrible to burn manure.
What was that?
So it sounds fun, but it smells horrible to burn.
Yeah, well, yeah, except burning, blazing golden stones. It smelled like, yeah, exactly. It smelled like horseshit. Yeah, well, you know.
It sounds a lot more romantic than it actually is.
Which goes back to his life. His life was more. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna deeper meaning. I don't know what the deeper meaning is, for Pete's sake. It's about poop. Okay. Here we go. Two horses playing I think it's here. Where's the two horses? Give me the two horses. Two horses. Oh, come on! Isn't it here?
Ooh, I have another one for Skyrim Lover about a horse if she's interested in hearing it. I didn't put it on the list today.
Yeah.
We can easily add it if she would be delighted to hear it.
Mine's not there either. Let me see. I think this is the one. This is more Break into Blossom. No, it's not. Where's the... From bus window? No. Several puddle window? No. Ancient treasure? No. No. Come on. I know this poem. I should know where it is. Not any of those. Well, oh, come on. That's what it is. It's a blessing. It's not anything about horses. It says the title's different. Is it The Blessing?
I love when the poets do that to us.
There we go. Okay, yeah. I can never get it right. Oh, and I just lost it again. Come back. 57, okay. Because I'm going to go by the book, just in case the writing is different. Because I feel like the version on screen may be a little bit different than what the original published version was, but we'll see. So this is A Blessing. Again, James Wright again. So if you click the link there, it'll take you to all these. Okay. Just off the highway to Rochester, Minnesota, twilight bounds softly forth on the grass, and the eyes of those two Indian ponies darken with kindness. They have come gladly out of the willows to welcome my friend and me. We step over the barbed wire into the pasture where they have been grazing all day alone. They ripple tensely. They can hardly contain their happiness that we have come. They bow shyly as wet swans. They love each other. There is no loneliness like theirs. At home once more, they begin munching the young tufts of spring in the darkness. I would like to hold the slenderer one in my arms, for she has walked over to me and nuzzled my left hand. She is black and white, her mane falls wild on her forehead, and the light breeze moves me to caress her long ear that is delicate as the skin over a girl's wrist. Suddenly I realize that if I stepped out of my body, I would break into blossom. There's horsies.
Aw, I like that one.
Every once in a while, yeah. So that's, again, the same sort of thing there, where that one's actually a little bit better one to see, because at the very end you can get it. Like, it takes you there, and then it says, okay, go! And then you break into blossom there at the end, and just like, oh,
Well,
I'm totally ready for the lat line.
It's horses, so,
Well, yeah. And it's a horse poem, exactly. Exactly. All right, so that's James Wright. We can put him away, and I'll move on to others at this point.
Okay, well, let me see. Let me add a link for this poem.
I'll put the blessing poem down there, too, in case anybody wants it.
Yeah.
I
That's
love working in a collaborative document. There we go. Exactly. Woo, horses! Exactly. Very funny. You've got... Wait. Oh, around. Okay, for a second there, I thought, like, roaming through the hallways is how I read that. So you meant around your apartment, as in, like, outside.
Oh. Yes, my husband.
Oh, in! I see! I don't know about in the apartment. Oh, okay.
Yeah, no.
You may want to check.
The apartment.
Oh, okay. Oh, is that the next one we're doing? Constant Fenimore Wilson?
Yes, it is. It is indeed. And
Got it.
I have a copy of it somewhere, but I don't have it handy, so I'll be reading it off the computer screen as well. So.
Okay, we do not autoplay. Don't do that. Don't do the thing you're doing.
Autoplay? Sorry. Yeah.
No. It was gonna. I don't know what this is going to do.
Yeah.
No idea.
Unfortunately, this one doesn't show up on Poetry Foundation for whatever reason, which is a shame because it's a poem.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh no, I have to go back and forth.
Are you familiar with Kentucky Belle, or did you're that Linux just finished reading?
Oh, which one?
She said, I like that one as well. So again, I'm assuming she's referencing the one that you just...
A blessing. Yeah.
Yeah, blessing. But
oh, cool. I hope so.
Say she might be referencing the one that I just popped on and I'm gonna read. So we'll see.
Both.
I know both. Yeah. Well, and I might cry with this next one. It's a good one.
Oh goodness. So. Okay. I'm gonna mute myself because I can. So I can cry. No one can hear me.
No, just kidding.
Oh no, I'll be here. I'll just be weeping in silence.
Yeah. So, fun fact, as her middle name might indicate, she actually is related to James Fenimore Cooper. I believe she's a niece or something along those lines. I'd have to look it up again, but she is actually related to the famous novelist who wrote the fun, Last of the Mohicans, The Deer Slayer, Natty Bumppo, all that fun stuff. So.
Oh wow! Right. Gotcha. Okay, now I got it.
Yeah. So.
Cool.
All right. Kentucky Belle, by Constance Fenimore Woolson. Summer of '63, sir, and Conrad was away. Gone to the country town, sir, to sell our first load of hay. We lived in the log house yonder, poor as ever you've seen. Rosh in there was a baby, and I was only 19. Conrad, he took the oxen, but he left Kentucky Belle. How much we thought of Kentucky I couldn't begin to tell. Came from the bluegrass country. My father gave her to me when I rode north with Conrad, away from the Tennessee. Conrad lived in Ohio. A German he is, The house stood broad in broad cornfields, stretching on row after row. The old folks made me welcome. They were as kind as could be. But I kept longing for the hills of Tennessee. Oh, for a sight of water, the shadowed slope of a hill, clouds that hang on the summit, a wind that is never still. But the level land went stretching away to meet the sky, never arise from north to south to rest the weary eye. From east to west, no river to shine out under the moon, nothing to make a shadow in the yellow afternoon. Only the breathless sunshine as I looked out all forlorn, only the rustle as I walked among the corn. When I fell sick with pining, we didn't wait any more, but moved away from the cornlands out to this river shore. The Tuscawaras it's called, sir. Off there's a hill, you see, and now I've grown to like it next best to the Tennessee. I was at work that morning. Someone came riding like mad over the bridge and up the road. Farmer Roof's little lad. Bareback he rode. He had no hat. He hardly stopped to say, Morgan's men are coming from. They're galloping on this way. I'm sent to warn the neighbors. He isn't a mile behind. He sweeps up all the horses, every horse that he can find. Morgan the raider, and Morgan's terrible men, with bowie knives and pistols, are galloping up the glen. The lad rode down the valley, and I stood still at the door. The baby laughed and prattled, playing with spools on the floor. Kentuck was out in the pasture. Conrad, my man, was gone. Near, Morgan's men were galloping on. Sudden, I picked up baby and ran to the pasture bar. Kentuck, I called. Kentucky! She knew me ever so far. I led her down the gully that turns off there to the right, and tied her to the bushes. Her head was just out of sight. As I ran back to the log house, at once there came a sound. The ring of hoofs, galloping hoofs, trembling over the ground. Coming into the turnpike, out from the white woman, Glen Morgan, Morgan the raider, and Morgan's terrible men. As near they drew, and nearer my heart beat fast in alarm. But still I stood in the doorway, with baby on my arm. They came. They passed. With spur and whip in haste they sped along. Morgan the raider, and his band 600 strong. Weary they looked, and jaded, riding through night and through day, pushing on east to the river many long miles away, to the border strip where Virginia runs up into the west, and for the upper Ohio before they could stop to rest. On like the wind they hurried, and Morgan rode in advance. Bright were his eyes like live coals as he gave me a sideways glance. And I was just breathing freely after my choking pain, when the last one of the troopers suddenly drew his rein. Oh, frightened I was to death, sir. I scarce dared look in his face, as he asked for a drink of water and glanced around the place. I gave him a cup, and he smiled. 'Twas only a boy, you see, faint and worn, with dim blue eyes, and he'd sailed on the Tennessee. Only 16 he was, sir, a fond mother's only son, off and away with Morgan before his life had begun. The damp drops stood on his temples, drawn was the boyish mouth, and I thought me of the mother waiting down in the south. Oh, pluck was he to the backbone, and clear grit through and through, boasted and bragged like a trooper, but the big words wouldn't do. The boy was dying, sir, dying as plain could be, worn out by his ride with Morgan up from the Tennessee. But when I told the laddie that I too was from the south, water came in his dim blue eyes and quivers around his mouth. Do you know the bluegrass country? He wistful began to say, then swayed like a willow sapling and fainted dead away. I had him into the log house and worked and brought him to. I fed him and coaxed him as I thought his mother'd do. And when the lad got better and the noise in his head was gone, Morgan's men were miles away, galloping on. Oh, I must go, he muttered. I must be up and away. Morgan is waiting for me. Oh, what will Morgan say? But I heard a sound of tramping and kept him back from the door, the ringing sound of horses' hoofs that I had heard before. And on came the soldiers, the Michigan cavalry, and fast they rode, and black they looked, galloping rapidly. They had followed hard on Morgan's track. They had followed day and night, but of Morgan and Morgan's raiders they had never caught a sight. And rich Ohio sat startled through all those summer days, for strange, wild men were galloping over her broad highways. Now here, now there, now seen, now gone, now north, now east, now west, through river valleys and cornland farms, sweeping away her best. A bold ride and a long ride, but they were taken at last. They almost reached the river by galloping hard and fast, but the boys in blue were upon them ere ever they gained the ford, and Morgan the raider, laid down his terrible sword. Well, I kept the boy till evening, kept him against his will, but he was too weak to follow and sat there pale and still. When it was cool and dusky, you'll wonder to hear me tell, but I stole down to that gully and brought up Kentucky Belle. I kissed the star on her forehead, my pretty, gentle lass. but I knew that she'd be happy back in the old bluegrass. A suit of clothes of Conrad's with all the money I had, and Kentuck, pretty Kentuck, I gave to the worn-out lad. I guided him to the southward as well as I knew how. The boy rode off with many thanks and many a backward bow. And then the glow it faded, and my heart began to swell, as down the glen away she went, my lost Kentucky belle. When Conrad came home in the evening, the moon was shining high. Baby and I were both crying. I couldn't tell him why. But a battered suit of rebel gray was hanging on the wall, and a thin old horse with a drooping head stood in Kentucky's stall. Well, he was kind and never once said a hard word to me. He knew I couldn't help it. 'Twas all for the Tennessee. But after the war was over, just think what came to pass. A letter, sir, and the two were safe back in the old bluegrass. The lad had got across the border riding Kentucky Belle, and Kentuck, she was thriving and fat and hearty and well. He cared for her and kept her, nor touched her with whip or spur. Ah, we've had many horses, but never a horse like her.
Oh, horsey.
I know.
That's a good one.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Oh, old Kentuck. That was good. I'd never heard that one.
And a lot of fun history in it, too, you know, kind of relating to the end of the Civil War and how they were hunting down all the Southern rebels who were still not wanting to submit, so. Oh, thanks for dropping by, Angel. It was great having you.
Oh, you're off? Yeah, it was good. I was thinking about you, Angel, so glad to see you. Anytime. We'll see you next week. As I'm still kind of forclip from the poem. I'm just like, Angel's leaving too! And Kentuck! Why? So amazing.
I'm glad you enjoyed it, Skyrim lover.
All right, let's see what we got here. I think we're getting into some of the heavier hitters.
Thank you, dear.
Massive, obsessive, awkward waving. Hey, wait, what? I do that. Yay! I'm not alone in the world anymore.
Oh no, you're not.
Yay! That's what I do all the time. Is he on fire or is he waving? I don't know. I think he's on fire. Okay, so me? Is it my turn yet? Is it my turn? It's a horrible way of putting
Yes,
it. How childish am I possibly?
Long selection.
Okay, let's see what I've got here. Let me do. I can match that. I can do poem after Carl Drummond de Andrade. This does not exist on the internet anywhere. So this one I'm gonna have to see. I may just have to read it. You'll just have to listen to it. I think I do have the camera set up to try and do that, but I don't know how well that would work. Because I could. Let's see what I do. If I do this, that. You can kind of see it. It's not exactly the same. Maybe it will be. We can try this. It might work. Okay. So this is right. So
because the more important thing is, can you read it?
Probably not. Jeez, I don't even know what the hell I'm doing. Okay, moving off the camera here. I'll be just fine. I think you can kind of see it. Oh well, close enough anyway. All right. So this is okay. Well, I probably shouldn't. Oh, jeez, I banged my microphone all around. This is Marvin Bell, who is one of my favorite poets of all time. So I don't know if you can see that. And this is from his collection Nightworks. So collected poems from '62 to 2000. But the other one of the other ones I have tonight actually is where I partially got my what? Shoulder cam? I hope it's not a cold shoulder. I got that reference. All right. I don't know.
Sorry.
I haven't checked lately.
Sorry.
No, it was awesome. I love it. You should, yes, like we haven't had worse dad jokes in this stream. Oh my god. We've had just a couple. So
Yeah,
let's
he's
see.
not even a dad yet, and he's already pulling them out.
I think they're open game for anybody now. I don't think we even have to. I can't claim them anymore either. Okay, so this is. And again, this one you can't find on the internet, but I did leave a link for the book in case you're interested in him. But the other thing too is I have another poem tonight that I want to read. Is where I got part of my name from. So it might make more sense that way. So shh. Oh, sorry. Okay. All right. So this is poem after Carlos Drummond de Andrade. And there's the caption at the top. It's life, Carlos. It's life that is hard. Waking, sleeping, eating, loving, working, and dying are easy. It's life that suddenly fills both ears with the sound of that symphony that forces your pulse to race and swells your heart near to bursting. It's life, not listening, that stretches your neck and opens your eyes and brings you into the worst weather of the winter to arrive once more at the house where love seemed to be in the air. And it's life, just life, that makes you breathe deeply in the air that is filled with wood smoke and the dust of the factory, because you hurried, and now your lungs heave and fall with the nervous excitement of a leaf in spring breezes, though it is winter and you are swallowing the dirt of the town. It isn't death when you suffer. It isn't death when you miss each other and hurt for it. When you complain, that isn't death. When you fight with those you love, when you misunderstand, when one line in a letter or one remark in person ties one of you in knots. When the end seems near, when you think you will die, when you wish you were already dead, none of that is death. It's life, after all, that brings you a pain in the foot and a pain in the hand, a sore throat, a broken heart, a cracked back, a torn gut, a hole in your abdomen, an irritated stomach, a swollen gland, a growth, a fever, a cough, a hiccup, a sneeze, a bursting blood vessel in the temple. It's life, not nerve ends, that puts the heartache on a pedestal and worships it. It's life, and you can't escape it. It's life, and you asked for it. It's life, and you won't be consumed by passion. You won't be destroyed by self-destruction. You won't avoid it by abstinence. You won't manage it by moderation, because it's life. Life everywhere, life at all times. And so you won't be consumed by passion. You will be consumed by life. It's life that will consume you in the end, but in the meantime, it's life that will eat you alive, but for now, it's life that calls you to the street where the wood smoke hangs, and the bare hint of a whisper of your name, but before you go, too late. Life got its tentacles around you, its hooks into your heart, and suddenly you come awake as if for the first time, and you are standing in a part of the town where the air is sweet, your face flushed, your chest thumping, your stomach a planet, your heart a planet, your every organ a separate planet, all of it of a piece, though the pieces turn separately. O silent indications of the inevitable, as among the natural restraints of winter and good sense, life blows you apart in her arms. So, yeah. Saw him read that one, actually. Oh, I didn't show you.
Wow.
I also got, you're just being silly. I'm silly. Shoot. I think we all know this well enough. We can pause that. Bring back the page. So, I actually did get this one signed a long time ago. So, I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, you can. There you go. You can kind of see it there. Although the lights are kind of washing it out.
I was gonna say it's a little bright, but yeah.
Yeah, no, he stamped it with the book the Book of the Dead Man stamp, and then April 26th, 2001. So that'd be
Nice.
18 years ago, almost to the day.
Mm-hmm.
God, I'm old. Okay, so moving right along. You got another poem here. Okay.
All right. Well, let's see. I do have one more that's on the list. I can always add more too. So.
Of course, you're only as old as you think you are. I think I'm old. Oh wait, no, that's not the way you're supposed to do that. I forgot. I think I'm 40. Wait, oh, shit! I keep screwing it up. All
right, let me pull out my
I like chicken.
Highwayman. I have so many different volumes of poetry. I have to pull out like a different book for each poem that I'm gonna read.
Hey, no problem. I've got the stack here too. Okay.
All right.
Is it on here? Is it which one?
It is. It is The Highwayman by Alfred.
Oh, The Highwayman. Okay.
Yes, and this one also happens to be one that has been set to. I don't know if anybody listening is familiar with Lorena McKennett.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, she was.
Yeah.
Lorena McKennett. Oh, she had a hit that was the Mummers Dance, right?
Yes, she does. She's had several, but yes, that was one of her big ones.
Mm-hmm. And then she was also
done The Highwayman.
Oh, okay, cool. No, I like her.
A lot. Oh yeah, no, I love her music. But yes, no, the Mummers Dance was definitely one of her hits, sort of back several years ago.
Mm-hmm. I want to say she also did a song on the soundtrack for Highlander 3, I think. I could be wrong.
I haven't seen Highlander 3 yet, but I mean, if I heard her, I would definitely.
It's really not worth it to see the movie for the song. It's not
so
there.
Basically just go to YouTube and look up McKenna's Highlander 3 and find the song.
Yeah, I would do that. Yes. It's the song of Loch Lamore, I think. No.
Lochinvar?
No.
I think there is a Loch Lamore too.
No, it's not. There is, but I think I'm thinking of the fictional thief. No, there's a Bonnie Portmore. It's the song of Bonnie Portmore.
Oh, Bonnie Portmore. Okay.
I think that's her. Maybe it's not her, but that's the song though.
No, she's done the Bonnie Portmore. Yeah, no, I actually have that on a couple of her different albums. So yeah.
Okay, then that's it. Yeah, then they play that during Highlander 3. Ozone, what's going on, Ozone? Good to see you. We're just reading poems and just hanging out. Have a seat.
Yeah. So Lorena McKennett does a really nice Highwayman. She only leaves out like a couple of stanzas, which. Admittedly, it irks me slightly because they're somewhat important stanzas to the story, but overall, it's still a musical masterpiece. So
I'll have to listen to it. Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. It's like a good 10 minutes long because,
As long as it's not any November rain, we're fine. That's my limit for long songs. Sorry, bad Guns N' Roses reference. I'm done. By the way, Ozone, it's Samara you're hearing in the background. That's Samara. I can't say Dublin. It's not Dublin. Dublin. So if you're wondering who the other voice is, Ozone, you actually know who it is.
Yes. Hello. You've probably seen me typing in chat every now and again, but yes. So.
Maybe once or twice. The conversation's too smart for me. I don't have my beret or pipe to do poems. You need a candle to blow out as well. Damn it, Ozone. Oh, pseudo. Oh, pseudo. I mean, Ozone. There is no more pseudo. Yes. There's only Ozone. Okay, I'm gonna shut up now. It's the floor is yours.
Okay, and yes, pay no attention to my husband who's having fun. Oh yeah, no. So the crazy person with the beard would be my husband, dressed as Squirrel Girl for the Comic-Con. So,
wait, yeah, that's Yoshama, right? Yoshama 633.
Yes, that's also Yoshama.
Okay,
633.
That's the person you're talking with, Ozone. We've discussed the costume is built out of alcohol. Yes. Okay, now I'm shutting up. All yours.
All right. The Highwayman by Alfred Noyes. The wind was a torrent of darkness among the gusty trees. The moon was a ghostly galleon tossed upon cloudy seas. The road was a ribbon of moonlight over the purple moor, and the highwayman came riding, riding, riding. The highwayman came riding up to the old inn door. He'd a French-cocked hat on his forehead, a bunch of lace at his chin, a coat of the claret velvet, and breeches of brown doeskin. They fitted with never a wrinkle. His boots were up to the thigh, and he rode with a jeweled twinkle, his pistol butts a twinkle, his rapier hilt a twinkle under the jeweled sky. Over the cobbles he clattered and clashed in the dark inn yard. He tapped with his whip on the shutters, but all was locked and barred. He whistled a tune to the window, and who should be waiting there but the landlord's black-eyed daughter, Bess, the landlord's daughter, plaiting a dark red love knot into her long black hair. And dark in the dark old inn-yard, a stable wicket creaked, where Tim, the ostler, listened,
His face was white and peaked. His eyes were hollows of madness, his hair like moldy hay. But he loved the landlord's daughter, the landlord's red-lipped daughter. Dumb as a dog he listened, and he heard the robbers say, "One kiss, my bonny sweetheart, I'm after a prize tonight. But I shall be back with the yellow gold before the morning light. Yet, if they press me sharply and harry me through the day, then look for me by moonlight. Watch for me by moonlight. I'll come to thee by moonlight, though hell should bar the way." He rose upright in the stirrups. He scarce could reach her hand. But she loosened her hair in the casement. His face burnt like a brand as the black cascade of perfume came tumbling over his breast, and he kissed its waves in the moonlight. Oh, sweet black waves in the moonlight. Then he tugged at his rein in the moonlight and galloped away to the west. He did not come in the dawning. He did not come at noon. And out of the tawny sunset before the rise of the moon, when the road was a gypsy's ribbon looping the purple moor, a redcoat troop came marching, marching, marching. King George's men came marching up to the old inn door. They said no word to the landlord. They drank his ale instead. But they gagged his daughter and bound her to the foot of her narrow bed. 2 of them knelt at her casement with muskets at their side. There was death at every window, and hell at one dark window, for Bess could see through her casement the road that he would ride. They had tied her up to attention with many a sniggering jest. They had bound a musket beside her with the barrel beneath her breast. "Now keep good watch," and they kissed her. She heard the dead man say, "Look for me by moonlight. Watch for me by moonlight. I'll come to thee by moonlight, though hell should bar the way." She twisted her hands behind her, but all the knots held good. She writhed her hands till her fingers were wet with sweat or blood. They stretched and strained in the darkness, and the hours crawled by like years, till now, on the stroke of midnight, cold on the stroke of midnight, the tip of one finger touched it. The trigger, at least, was hers. The tip of one finger touched it. She strove no more for the rest. Up, she stood up to attention, with the barrel beneath her breast. She would not risk their hearing. She would not strive again. For the road lay bare in the moonlight, blank and bare in the moonlight, and the blood of her veins in the moonlight throbbed to her love's refrain. Tlot, 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 tlot. Had they heard it? The horse hooves ringing clear. Tlot, 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 in the distance. Were they deaf that they did not hear? Down the ribbon of moonlight, over the brow of the hill, the highwayman came riding, riding, riding. The redcoats looked to their priming. She stood up, straight and still. Tlot, tlot, in the frosty silence, tlot, tlot, in the echoing night. Nearer he came, and nearer. Her face was like a light. Her eyes grew wide for a moment. She drew one last deep breath. Then her finger moved in the moonlight. Her musket shattered the moonlight, shattered her breast in the moonlight, and warned him with her death. He turned, he spurred to the west. He did not know who stood bowed with her head o'er the musket, drenched with her own blood. Not till the dawn he heard it. His face grew gray to hear how Bess, the landlord's daughter, the landlord's black-eyed daughter, had watched for her love in the moonlight and died in the darkness there. Back he spurred like a madman, shrieking a curse to the sky, with the white road smoking behind him and his rapier brandished high. Blood red were his spurs of the golden moon, wine red was his velvet coat, when they shot him down on the highway, down like a dog on the highway, and he lay in his blood on the highway, with a bunch of lace at his throat. And still of a winter's night they, when the wind is in the trees, when the moon is a ghostly galleon tossed upon cloudy seas, when the road is a ribbon of moonlight over the purple moor, a highwayman comes riding, riding, riding. A highwayman comes riding up to the old inn door. Over the cobbles he clatters and clangs in the dark inn yard, and he taps with his whip on the shutters, but all is locked and barred. He whistles a tune to the window, and who should be waiting there but the landlord's black-eyed daughter, Bess, the landlord's daughter, plaiting a dark red love knot into her long black hair.
We're hitting all the cheerful ones tonight.
Holy crap, that was depressing.
Have you never heard that one before, Linux?
I have. That's what that's what I was mouthing at the beginning. Like, I think I've heard this one. And it sounds very familiar, and I think I've heard the song actually. So that might be where I've gotten it from. We don't have any. Yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry, Ozone. There you go. You feel like you have your full experience now? We've snapped fingers. Goodness, I'm not wearing the Sprockets outfit though, unfortunately.
You're funny.
Oh,
Well, I'm glad you like it, Skyrim Lover. It's one of my favorites too. It's fun. So fun and depressing, but fun.
snaps. Yeah, it's. I didn't think she'd kill herself. I forgot that part of it.
Yeah.
And he still died anyway. It's like, all right, fine.
Yeah. It's not a happy poem, but it is very well written.
Yeah, it is. That's really good.
I mean, to a certain extent, it's slightly more cheerful than the Wreck of the Hesperus. So I mean, you know.
Oh gosh. Now that one, yeah, I have not read that one in a very. I don't know if I've ever read that one. I know the poem, but I don't think I've ever read it. You don't do poems? I'm too literal to understand things like poems. I feel. Bullshit. We can find you a literal
poem.
poem.
Be really hard to. I was gonna say some poems can be really hard to interpret, especially if you're not used to it. But really, it just sort of takes practice.
Yeah, it's true. It's exposure. It's like developing a taste for anything. You just drink enough of it. Eventually, it just all tastes the same. Wait, what? Oh no, I mean, yes, no, what?
Sure, something like that.
That's exactly what I meant, and I said it the way I intended. Okay. We are coming up on the. Is she?
This your demon husky.
Yay! Yeah. And the cat Oreo, right? I think so.
I was gonna say it depends. Is Oreo the only cat she has? I thought she had more than one.
No, I think you're right. I think there is more than one, but the Oreo's the.
Okay, I was gonna say. I mean.
Bourbon. That'll kill all the taste buds. You're right. That'll be a good thing to switch to. Yes.
Yeah. And where's my bourbon, Mister?
You're passing it out? That's cheating. That's not fair. I can't pass that through Discord.
He's drinking it.
Oh, for Pete's sake, he's doing it right though. That's how you're supposed to do it. As a former professor of mine used to say when you're reading some of these things, like Joseph Conrad's Heart of Darkness or something, is the way you should do it is you should make sure that you have a glass of cognac in one hand and then the book in the other, and you enjoy it. You'd appreciate the motifs. Loved that man. I haven't talked to him in a long time. All right, so I think we got about time for one apiece. I think, and I'll wrap up the hour, and then we can wrap up the stream. I think if that works.
Oh, is that what I said? Was I need to keep snoring poems? I thought that I said I need to keep reading poems, but maybe that is what I said. I don't know.
Keep trying. Keep trying. Yes. Yeah, Ozone, you're doing it right. Keep trying. You only have the one cat. Snort it. Snort the poems. Snort the poems, Ozone. Trust. You have to feel it fully. That's totally what it isn't.
Okay, so you do only have one cat. Okay, well, hello to Oreo and the cute demon.
Yay. Okay. Do I want to do one of mine, or do I want to do? I kind of need to do Book of the Dead Man, because this one. The reason for that is because this deals with where my name came from. So I think I've talked about this before. Four dogs, a horse, and a cat. Okay, so there's just the one cat and a guinea pig. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was gonna say I knew you had more than one dog. I just didn't remember if you had more than one cat as well.
Right. Yeah, I couldn't remember either. But all the critters are so cute. Okay, so Marvin Bell. Again, we're going back to Marvin Bell, the poet that I was talking about earlier. This guy, and this guy. You can actually see a picture of him on the back there. I believe he's still writing. Hell of an author and hell of a poetry teacher too. He made the Iowa Poetry Workshop, which basically, if you got there and you got your MFA from there, you were basically set as a published writer. But he was the one who taught that and started that. So he's a hell of a poet. But he did these series of poems called The Book of the Dead Man. And when I first started getting into anything, I had to pick a name, and I picked I wanted to pick Dead Man, and that was after these. But of course, I didn't get that, so I kept picking. I picked Deadlinux because I knew nobody would have that, and I was interested in Linux at the time. So this is where that first part of my name comes from, is these sets of poems. So this is one of them. There's about 40 of them, and then he came back, and since he liked the form so much, he did. What did they call them? Let's see.
Ozone Shel Silverstein's awesome.
Yes, he is.
You mentioned Shel Silverstein.
Yes, he is. Oh, Amelia Bedelia, there you go. I have a 2-year-old. You're into Dr. Seuss, Shel Silverstein, and a pig and pug. Her favorite is Little Excavator. What? I don't even know that one. Let's see, what was it? Okay, there's Book of the Dead Man, and then there's Songs from the Resurrected Dead Man's Footsteps, or something like that. So he did just an absolute ton of them. So that's this poem here. It's not too terribly long, but you'll get it. So this is going off of the, and I actually do this too. My name kind of deals with that. Into Linux at the time. So you're not anymore? Of course I am. We are actually 100% Linux stream right now. Thank you very much. On my end anyway. Dead I am still. It's the dead part. Yeah. So this goes along with the old Tibetan Book of the Dead idea of live as though you are already dead. So, you know, living without regret, living without remorse, that sort of thing. Again, that however you want to interpret that topic, that's where this is coming from. So I'll leave it at that, and we'll get into it here. So this is Book of the Dead Man number 3, about the beginnings of the dead man. When the dead man throws up, and also I should preface this with something. We've had a lot of different forms throughout the night, which is awesome, and so this one does not have a sound form to it. It has long lines. I believe they're close to 5 to 7 beat, but this is more important with the ideas of it. So it's a weird sort of form, and I always like the more prosy kind of stuff. So if you're wondering why, oh, this doesn't rhyme, is it a poem? It's like, yeah, it is, but the form is more of what would I call it? Not an ideological form, I guess you could say. More of a I'll think of something later that'll make sense. Anyway, Book of the Dead Man, everybody. Number 3. When the dead man throws up, he thinks he sees his inner life. Seeing his vomit, he thinks he sees his inner life. So he can pick himself apart, weigh the ingredients, research his makeup. He wants to study things outside himself, if he can find them. Moving, the dead man makes the sound of bone on bone. He bends a knee that doesn't wish to bend. He raises an arm that argues with the shoulder. He turns his head by throwing it wildly to the side. He envies the lobster, the protective sleeves of its limbs. He believes the jellyfish has it easy, floating, letting everything pass through it. He would like to be a starfish, admired for its shape long after. Everything the dead man said, he now takes back. Not as a lively young man demonstrates sincerity or regret. A young dead man and an old dead man are two different things. A young dead man is oil, an old dead man is water. A young dead man is bread and butter, an old dead man is bread and water. It's a difference in construction, also architecture. The dead man was there in the beginning. To the dead man, the sky is a crucible. In the dead man's lifetime, the planet has changed from lava to ash to cement. But the dead man flops his feathers. He brings his wings up over his head, and he has them touch. He bends over with his beak to the floor. He folds and unfolds at the line where his armor creases. The dead man is open to change and has deep pockets. The dead man is the only one who will live forever. Hey, Ridge Dog. Good to see you. More about the beginnings of the dead man. We're still reading poems. This is part 2. More about the beginnings. One day the dead man looked up into the crucible and saw the sun. The dead man in those days held the sun like a small globe, like a patchwork ball, like an ultramarine bowl. The dead man softened it, kneaded it, turned it, and gave it volume. He thrust a hand deep into it and shaped it from the inside out. He blew into it and pulled it and stretched it until it became full-sized, a work of art created by a dead man. the excellence of it, the quality, its character, its fundamental nature, its raison d'être, we're all indebted to the dead man. The dead man is the flywheel of the spinning planet. The dead man thinks he can keep things the same by not moving. By not moving, the dead man maintains the status quo at the center of change. The dead man, by not moving, is an explorer. He follows his nose. When it's not personal, not profound, he can make a new world anytime. The dead man is the future, was always the future, can never be the past. Like God, the dead man existed before the beginning, the time marked by galactic static. Now nothing remains of the first static that isn't music, fashioned into melody by the accidents of interval. Now nothing more remains of silence that isn't sound. The dead man has both feet in the past and his head in the clouds. Rich Dog, you're in the poem! Exactly. Nice. Oh, Minecraft, you found some diamonds. I like the idea of the poem, Deadlinux game, but really I have no clue what's going on. You can't. And I will, yeah. This one is easier. This one, and even if you're not starting out, this one still makes no sense to me. And I don't think it's supposed to. I mean, you can connect it. Does it connect all together like a big jigsaw puzzle? No, it doesn't. I don't think. And I would argue that it will try to fight you by trying to do that. Because the whole point of it is it's talking about the beginning of the idea of the dead man, and that's kind of us, the everyman kind of thing, I guess you could say. So it's it is you and it is not you. It's that kind of thing. And I loved that. I'll put it this way: I love that ambiguity. I love that it doesn't make sense. It makes my brain hurt, and that's why I like it. So I guess does that make any sense? So I like what it's saying. I like the weirdness of it. I like how the dead man flops his feathers. He brings his wings up and over, and he bends over with his beak to the floor, unfolds and folds the line where his armor creases. You can see it. It seems nonsensical. It's supposed to be, I think. So that's kind of the cool part of that.
It's kind of like the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock by T.S. Eliot. It is pretty darn random, especially the first time you read it and you're going, what?
As the women come and go, talking to Michelangelo. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can kind of piece it together, but when he starts, when he starts thinking to himself, yeah, does it make absolute sense?
Shall I wear my trousers rolled? Dare I eat a peach? And it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, you can. Go ahead. What's it gonna do you? You're still a pathetic person who's not asking him out for a date. We can go back and forth about that all the time. Actually, I had it ready in case you were gonna go the T.S. Eliot route. I have the antithesis. I have William or Wallace Stevens sitting right here, so we could have both ends of the same chain if we had to. Which is with the man with the blue guitar. Another poem that's real easy to get into. No, it's not. So yeah, we have that one. So that's mine.
We'll save Prufrock for another night when we're feeling twisting our brains.
Then we have to try and do the Wasteland. Holy shit.
Oh, geez. Linux, that's a long one, though. Like, we almost have to take turns reading that one.
That could be fun, but it also I want to kill myself when I'm done. Because I've always had a love-hate relationship with Elliot, because you can...
Now, we could do the naming of cats, on the other hand, which would be hilarious and fun.
It could be. However, then we have to bring up the play Cats, and that always seems to be a point of controversy.
Well, no, we don't.
No, we
you
don't.
Just brought it up, but see,
I did.
I always forget it's actually even related to the musical, because I've only seen the musical like once when I was very, very young.
Yeah, I don't think I ever saw it. But yeah, no, we don't have to.
We don't have to. The poem is supposed to be related to the musical until somebody like you brings it up.
Yep, I like to ruin things. Oh wait, I mean, but no, it's one of those things where this is. I think when I was studying poetry and I was in the poetry workshop and it was also an English major, one of the things that helped. This sounds really weird. You're taking off? You're about to fall asleep? Awesome. Not to do with the poetry, but because it's 10, you're up at 5. Ozone. Oh man, long days, man. All right, have a good night, man. Good night. Have a good sleep. We'll see you on Sunday, maybe, or we'll see you next week for sure. Whenever you come through. Always good to see you, man. But there was a thing where once I started feeling like I got the hang of it, and when I started writing myself, I started to really have an antagonistic relationship with poets like T.S. Eliot, who were extremely smart. At least they very obviously thought they were, and you could see it in the writing. And I thought, wow, you're trying to break new ground for the point of breaking new ground. I get it. And then that helped me sort of break away from that, or find out why was I being antagonistic, because I wanted to make something different or better, and it actually made it feel
poetry,
more
it's
approachable.
Fascinating to see the evolution of it, because of course the poetry that he started out with was very different from what he ended up composing later on in life.
Yes.
So.
Yep. Agreed. No, exactly. That's a good way of bringing it up too. And it's, I think, even now, I think when we deal with the canon of poetry, a lot of it still seems kind of locked away. But then when you know, that's why I like to bring up some of the more contemporaries, like Marvin Bell or James Wright, that are a little bit, they're newer, so hopefully that means they're a little bit more accessible, but not necessarily. But there's so much more work now that's being, exposed, and there's a lot more writers out there that we'll never know, that are extremely good, that you may stumble into, and so it's there, and you can't really get away from it. But it's kind of like Linux; it'll never go away. People will always keep working on it. It will always exist. It just decides on whether that's your thing or not, or your bag, or you want to dig into it. So yeah. All right, you will be closing up the night. Which one would you like?
Ooh, okay, well gosh, I gotta pick one now. Let's see.
No pressure, but make sure it makes us all feel happy inside, and if not, we will all scream and unfollow. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, well, let's see.
I'm
what
kidding.
cheerful.
No, I'm kidding. No, I take it back. Please don't do cheerful. Please don't. Oh God, what have I done?
Well, I can do cheerful and bouncy. What do you mean?
No, not cheerful and bouncy.
Okay, well, let's see.
Now playing Twitch in the background.
Couple in here. Let me see if any of these
That's just pretzel rocks. I can turn it off. Actually, I can probably kill it for the moment. Pause. There. See, you won't even come back now. You missed a lot. That's okay, Mr. Penguin. It's not like we won't do this again.
That's not bad. That's not great.
Well, you did have the Height of Ridiculous on here. Did we read that one already?
Yes, we did.
Okay. Is this? I can't remember this one. Which one was this one? This was the.
That
Oh
was-
yeah. Gotcha.
Save that one for closer to Halloween. Okay. Well, tell you what. How about the Lady of Shalott, since that's a fairly well-known classic.
Oh God. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I
Hang
grabbed my
on.
book. I have a very, very, very precious copy of all of Tennyson's works. That's probably, I would say, from like the 1930s.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll post a pic of it on the Discord later if people want to see it. But yeah, I'm very protective of it. So let me
I love
carefully
old
go
books.
and get it off. Of
Who's
shelf,
the
and
Who's the editor?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
you'll
have to look
tell
in
me.
the front again.
Oh, right. Sure.
Yeah, I'll have to look and see, but I'll be right back.
No worries. I'll pretend to entertain people in the meantime. By the way, everybody, thank you for joining us tonight for the poetry stream. Again, that's me and Samara Dublin. Right, I can never say it right. Samara from the chat, who's the someone who's been a supporter of me for years and years and years. Well, not years and years, but a long time. And so we're reading poetry together, her own idea. So she volunteered to read tonight on stream with me for our Just Chatting stream on Thursday. So it kind of filled in for a community night. Would be kind of the equivalent of my community nights. So thank you all for coming along. It's a fun to have you all. It's good to do this.
Yeah, this has been fun.
Yay.
Okay.
Always nice to work these muscles.
Also,
'cause I don't get to use
this
them.
happens to also be sung by Lorena McKennitt, so I'll.
No kidding. Oh wow. Okay.
Like, yeah, no, she's done several poems. She's done The Highwayman. She's done A Lady of Shalott. What's the other one that she's done? There's another one that's slipping my mind right now. But yeah, she's actually done several longer poems. So, is the YouTube link.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Carefully open my book.
So did you say the editor for this one? Because that's what I'd be curious to see who is the, because I may know the
Let
name.
me see if it even has an editor in the front, because it's literally that old. Yeah, no, there is no editor. It
No
goes
kidding.
straight to the contents.
Holy crap,
It is
okay.
a very old volume.
All right.
I'm always a little afraid to touch it, but I also adore it because they don't make books anymore like they used to, where the covers are all pretty and everything. And this one's one of those that has sort of like, it's board, it's not leather, but I mean you can see there's a design on the cover and everything, and it's really nice. So,
Oh wow, okay.
yeah,
Those are
so
fragile.
I'm preserving it for as long as I can, but you should see the type in it too. It's tiny ass type. But yeah.
Oh, real thin onion skin pages too, I suppose?
Pretty damn close, yeah.
Okay, yep. I used to have a couple like that. Yes, I know, Skyrim Lover. She's actually told me how to say it more than twice. Even before the stream, she's told me many times, and I can never get it right.
What have I told you to say twice?
The last part of your name.
Oh, it's okay. It's basically a Gaelic mashing together of two words that's supposed to mean black sword, so... If you want to call me Samara Blacksword, you can do that too.
Could.
There it is. Okay, page 17.
Probably should make more sense.
There it is. Alrighty.
Alright, the stage is yours.
Okay. The Lady of Shalott by Alfred Lord Tennyson. On either side the river lie long fields of barley and of rye that clothe the wold and meet the sky, and through the field the road runs by to many-towered Camelot. And up and down the people go, gazing where the lilies blow round an island there below, the island of Shalott. Willows whiten, aspens quiver, little breezes dusk and shiver, through the wave that runs forever by the island in the river, flowing down to Camelot. 4 grey walls and 4 grey towers overlook a space of flowers, and the silent isle embowers the Lady of Shalott. By the margin, willow-veiled, slide the heavy barges, trailed by slow horses, and unhailed the shallop flitteth silken-sailed, skimming down to Camelot. But who hath seen her wave her hand, or at the casement seen her stand? Or is she known in all the land, the Lady of Shalott? Only reapers, reaping early in among the barley, hear a song that echoes cheerly from the river winding clearly down to towered Camelot. And by the moon the reaper weary, piling sheaves in uplands airy, listening whispers, "'Tis the fairy Lady of Shalott." There she weaves by night and day a magic web with colors gay. She has heard a whisper say a curse is on her if she stay to look down Camelot. She knows not what the curse may be, and so she weaveth steadily, and little other care hath she, the Lady of Shalott. And moving through a mirror clear that hangs before her all the year, shadows of the world appear. There she sees the highway near, winding down to Camelot. There the river eddy whirls, and there the surly village churls and the red cloaks of market girls pass onward from Shalott. Real quick, I'm going to pause. I noticed people commenting on the that I'm reading. Yes, actually, he did publish 2 different editions of The Lady of Shalott.
Aha!
This version was published in the winter of 1832.
Oh,
and then later on, he wrote another version that was changed some stanzas around and such that I believe was published a year or 2 later. So yes, there are a couple of different versions of The Lady of Shalott, which is interesting.
That's rad.
So
okay,
yes.
So we were at, let's see, I think it's this one.
We were a little before part 3. So, well, at least, okay, I should say it's a little before my part 3.
Gotcha. Okay.
There the river eddy whirls, yeah, past Shalott. Okay. Sometimes a troop of damsels glad, an abbot on an ambling pad. Sometimes a curly shepherd lad, or long-haired page in crimson clad goes by to towered Camelot. And sometimes through the mirror blue the knights come riding 2 and 2. She hath no loyal knight and true, the Lady of Shalott. But in her web she still delights to weave the mirror's magic sights, for often through the silent nights a funeral with plumes and lights and music to Camelot. Or, when the moon was overhead, came 2 young lovers lately wed. I am half sick of shadows, said the Lady of Shalott. A bow shot from her bower eaves, he rode between the barley sheaves. The sun came dazzling through the leaves, and flamed upon the brazen greaves of bold Sir Lancelot. A red-cross knight forever kneeled to a lady in his shield, that sparkled on the yellow field beside remote Shalott. The gemmy bridle glittered free, like to some branch of stars we see hung in the golden galaxy. The bridle bells rang merrily as he rode down to Camelot, and from his blazoned baldric slung a mighty silver bugle hung, and as he rode his armor rung beside remote Shalott.
All in the blue unclouded weather, thick jeweled shone the saddle leather. The helmet and the helmet feather burned like one burning flame together as he rode down to Camelot. As often through the purple night, below the starry clusters bright, some bearded meteor trailing light moves over still Shalott. His broad clear brow in sunlight glowed, on burnished hooves his war-horse trode. From underneath his helmet flowed his coal-black curls as on he rode down to Camelot. From the bank and from the river he flashed into the crystal mirror. Tira-lira by the river sang Sir Lancelot. She left the web, she left the loom, she made 3 paces through the room. She saw the water-lily bloom, she saw the helmet and the plume. She looked down to Camelot. Out flew the web and floated wide. The mirror cracked from side to side. "The curse has come upon me," cried the Lady of Shalott. In the stormy east wind straining, the pale yellow woods were waning, the broad stream in his banks complaining, heavily the low sky raining over towered Camelot. Down she came and found a boat beneath a willow left afloat, and round about the prow she wrote, "The Lady of Shalott." And down the river's dim expanse, like some bold seer in a trance, seeing all his own mischance, with a glassy countenance did she look to Camelot. And at the closing of the day, she loosed the chain and down she lay. The broad stream bore her far away, the Lady of lying robed in snowy white that loosely flew to left and right. The leaves upon her falling light, through the noises of the night she floated down to Camelot. And as the boathead wound along, the willowy hills and fields among, they heard her singing her last song, the Lady of Shalott. Heard a carol, mournful, holy, chanted loudly, chanted lowly, till her blood was frozen slowly, and her eyes were darkened wholly, turned towered Camelot. For ere she reached upon the tide the first house by the waterside, singing in her song she died, the Lady of Shalott. Under tower and balcony, by garden wall and gallery, a gleaming shape she floated by, a course between the houses high, silent into Camelot. Out upon the wharfs they came, knight and burgher, lord and dame, and round the prow they read her name, the Lady of Shalott. Who is this? And what is here? And in the lighted palace near died the sound of royal cheer, and they crossed themselves for fear, all the knights of Camelot. But Lancelot mused a little space. He said, "She has a lovely face. God in his mercy lend her grace, the Lady of Shalott."
I love me some Alfred Lord Tennyson. Oh my god.
Oh, me too.
Oh jeez. Let me see if I can add him here. Yeah.
I did it.
I am half sick of
For the
shadows.
music.
Oof.
Yes, I am half sick of shadows, said the Lady of Shalott.
I love that line.
Mm-hmm. Sort of a be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, right.
Because the next image you're going to see is not going to be shadowy.
Alright, let's see if I got it. Okay, cool.
I am half sick of shadows.
Forsooth! Smoking ban, exactly. Forsooth.
Hey man, Poet Laureate, he's a great poet.
Yeah. Very sad life he led, though. Wasn't he sick most of his life, too? And then, like, had a very sad marriage, if I remember it. I can't remember. It's been a long time since I read it all, but there was the other one.
Yeah, same.
I think it's the poem that I actually referenced in another, actually one I wrote was All Flesh is Grass, which is about a death of a friend of his, and I can't remember the guy's name. But it kind of shaped the rest of his life at that point.
Mm-hmm. No, I do remember the one you're referencing.
Yeah, it's actually I think it is just called All Flesh is Grass. Remember correctly. Poor sucker. We're. Okay, this is what I want. And show more. Oh no, it's one of the it's one of the in memoriams. It's not called All Flesh is Grass. All Flesh is Grass is one of the lines. In memoriam is the poem part.
Yeah, there we go. That sounds better. I was going to say All Flesh is Grass doesn't sound terribly familiar, but yeah, he wrote several in memoriams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the whole thing
as you can see.
Yeah, no, it's a good one if you can get all the way through it. Holy crap. Mm-hmm. This is 100% worth watching for both of you. Thank you, Skyrim Lover. I appreciate that. All right, fun. Cool. Yeah, no, this is a blast. All right, let me get a little bit of outro going on here. I'll do that. There we go. All right, let me switch back over to the special guest screen, which I actually do have one. Haha! So again, ladies and gentlemen, this was the
poetry stream.
What was that?
Smoking Man says I'm trying to figure out what I just into.
You've walked into amazement and wonder, Mr. Smoking Man. We're just finishing up reading a bunch of poems all up. To the left, to the right, Samara. You got this down to a science. Dope Locust! Morphine Kiss, thank you for that. I swear he is more creative every time he says my name. Rich Duck, have a good night. Good to see you, man. Good to have you by. Yeah, we'll see you Monday. Yeah, we will be streaming on Skyrim Journal on Sunday. That's actually where the whole Skyrim Journal came from too, was the whole poetry thing. So I'm glad we kind of got those muscles moving again for me anyway.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to miss this next week of streaming because Dave and I are actually gonna be in DC. He's got training, and I decided to tag along with him to visit friends.
Oh,
so
cool! All right, well, have fun.
Yeah,
that'll be a blast. All right, yeah, but no, I'll be back. I'm not going anywhere. I don't have any trips planned. I'll be stuck. So we'll be back with Skyrim Journal on episode 30. So we'll be back in Carved Brink again. You only pay for the edge of your seat because that's all you need. Sunday, Monday. Morphine Kiss is like the voice in the back of my head. That is how I sound in my head all day long. I don't know how he does it, but that's exactly how I sound. I'm woefully behind on any poetry reading. Amazing stream. Well, thank you. And there's only one that ever sticks in my head. Oh, poem? Oh no, please don't tell me it has anything to do with the man from Nantucket. You've got trips to Skyrim. Now the safest place to visit. This is more fun than DC. Well, sometimes, unless the goblins get involved. The goblin voices are a little bit intense, but they're good. They're good though. Cool. Oh, Robert Frost? Okay, that's good.
I have a guess as to which one that is then.
It could be one of three. Nothing Gold Can Stay. That one I didn't think of. Okay. Sure.
I was gonna say I didn't think of that one either, but that is an excellent one.
Yeah, we'll have to pick requests next time if we do this.
Yeah,
when
if you guys want poetry requests, throw them our way.
Yeah, definitely. That is a good one. Yeah, I always think of two paths diverged in woods, and I took the one less traveled by, and that made all the difference. Yeah, exactly. All right, cool.
And of course, Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening. I wrote a fun parody once of Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening for finals week in college.
Oh, no kidding?
I may have to pull that one out from wherever I've hidden it and see if I can do it next time.
Oh, yeah, sure. Well, then I'll have to pull out the one. I've got a one for. You guys don't know William Stafford, do you? I'm gonna have to.
The name sounds mildly familiar, but again, I'm not up a lot on my more modern poets because there's a lot of them.
Yes, there are many of them still alive. Actually, I'll have to try. I'll try to bring them out next time, because that's where a lot of my background became when I was going through the MFA. Was a lot of like the poets I read tonight, but I'll try to bring more of them that I think are a lot more accessible, and they're a lot for contemporary poets. There's a lot of contemporary poets that are inaccessible. That I would argue, and I can read some of those too. So I'll try to, next time when we do this, I'll try to get some of both. We can talk about that too, because I think that would be good to see of what I would consider to be a difficult poem, or what I would call an inaccessible poem versus an accessible one. Okay, you'll try to come on Sunday if you can, otherwise we'll see you Monday. Yeah, well, no, that's cool. We'll see you Monday for Subnautica. Some more of that will be fun. All right, well, we'll wrap it up a little bit for tonight. So thank you everybody for coming on. Thank you so much for watching. Nietzsche! Oh, Jesus.
Well, that wasn't quite where we had
Dostoevsky, read Kafka! Okay.
Oh, God.
That would be great. I'll leave the books here, so we'll see what we pick through, and we'll do some of those
Dude, I
next
love
time.
me some Dostoevsky though. He's amazing.
Yeah, I've read very little. I've read some, or I finished Notes from the Underground, and I think that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know my Russian authors at all. I'm very bad.
I don't know them well, but I do know at least Tolstoy and Dostoevsky pretty well.
Tolstoy's one I have to get into more. Yeah, I don't know them. I think.
Yeah.
Well, wait, no. Chekhov. I taught Chekhov when I was teaching.
Chekhov, yeah, okay.
The Cherry Orchard, which was a difficult
Yeah.
teach. Why did I do that one?
Most
Why
of
did I do
his
that one?
stuff is a difficult teach. It's
I should
fun.
not have been trying to teach it to 19, 20, and 21-year-olds. It was not easy. The Wasteland? We were just talking about that. Damn it.
Yeah. Alright, well, we
Sure.
gotta do it now, Linux.
Oh, God. All right. Tell David to bring the full bottle of bourbon. Oh, dude.
Did you hear that, sweetie?
We will need more than one bottle of bourbon for this one. I may have to ask to partake. Yeah. Pour mine into the big glass.
Full bottle of bourbon.
Just kidding. Not entirely. Only half kidding. No, mine! Okay, good. All right, your instincts are good. I appreciate that. Yes. Managing my own heart. All mine! All right, fair enough. All right, people. Well, again, Samara, let me thank my guest for this evening, Samara de Blun. Black Sword. There we go.
There you go.
Samara, for tonight, for coming and for having the idea, for bringing the poems, for putting this together. This was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for coming along. Thank you for coming onto the stream.
Well, thank you
Great
for
to
having me.
have
This
you.
was a blast. And
Yeah.
yeah, I can't wait to do it again.
Cool. And so watch for that, everybody. You heard it here first. We'll be doing this again. So poetry streams will be a thing, which is great. This is something I've wanted to get into the stream. I've wanted to do something with it, and now we have it set up. So we've done the first one. This is awesome. So I do really appreciate this. So thank you very much for that. Also, thank you all for coming along. We do have thank yous tonight. A couple
Yes.
here. Let's see. Actually, we have the thank you for Yoshama633. Now that the infamous David, now that we've no longer, well, he's still infamous, but now we've actually had him in the
He's
stream.
very infamous.
Oh, good. See, well, thank you so much for the follow as well. I appreciate that, and thank you for hanging out tonight too. It was a lot of fun, and thank you all, of course, for coming along and showing a lot of support for a poetry stream. Again, this is not something I searched on Twitch. There's not a whole lot of categories for this, which is why we're still in just chatting. So for those of you that did hang out, that enjoyed the stream, thank you so much for hanging out. If you do like what you saw tonight, go ahead and click the little purple heart at the top, or click the little heart to make it purple, and then hang out for all the shenanigans. And also too, you can follow me on Deadlinux tweets for more of that. And of course, Samara is a regular on the stream. She's one of our mods here, so you will see more of her as well if you have any interest there. Cool. All right, well, let's close up a little bit. Let me see if we can find somebody to host this evening here, and we'll pass off the love for those who are going to be hanging out for the evening. We'll see who's online. Let's see here. We'll see who we can host tonight. We have Chickies just chatting. I think that would be fairly intense move over from here. Holy crap. That may be a little too much. I'll may have to say hi to him later. There's Killabout03 for whatever reason I was hosting him before when I was streaming. Let's see. Timsy's playing The Witcher. D. Fraley's doing Destiny. I'm trying to think of
Bruce. Sorry, I'm just saying Bruce. I don't know who Bruce is.
Bruce? Brucey's on? Brucey baby? No way. Brucey baby's online. Brucey would totally appreciate coming from a poetry stream. Okay, so do you remember, have I ever hosted Bruceifier before? You've seen him in stream, I think, Samara, haven't you?
I know that I've seen him in stream, but I don't know that I ever, stayed on his channel for very long when we switched, just because
Sure.
we had other things to get to, so...
Of course, yeah, it gets late. But we're going to give the love over to Brucey, because Brucey's good people, and we are done with the support stream, so I am free to do as I wish.
Why are you yelling, sir?
You should be able to... Yeah, that's him. He's playing Days Gone, so we'll see what he's got going on here. But he's also a stream team member. good friend of us, good supporter of me. So we'll hand it over to that. Now playing, how do I have my NVIDIA drivers without logging in? I can't tell you because I run Linux. Troll face. Just kidding. I would pop up on the installer and do it, but no, we'll get there. Don't get me started. Don't get me started. I would totally be happy to help you. We'd be here for 5 hours. Anyway. All right, so we're gonna give the love over to Brucifer. So you guys, if you don't know who he is, that is J. Brucifer. I say Brucifer, but I know it's Brucifer. So this is the guy. So if you're interested, that's him. And of course, did I spell it wrong? No, that's right. Why didn't it go? There we go. There it popped. Okay, cool. Well, Samara, again, thank you so much. And if you want to just hang on the audio while I close up chat here real quick, and then we'll host it off. And I'll be there in just a second.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming. It was super fun.
Yeah, thank you so much for having you. And thank you. It was fun to have you. I can't speak anymore. Thank you all for coming by. Thank you again, Samara. And we will see you all next time. Good night, everybody.
Oh shit! Hi Linux. Hey Linux. Hi Linux. Hey Linux. Hey Linux. Hey, good night, Patikin. Could you do me a favor and give a shout out to Deadlinux real quick though? I would appreciate it, sir. I love you too, Linux. You handsome motherfucker. Thank you, Patikin. What up, Smoking Man? How you doing? How you doing? I'm over here. Shut the fuck up. Jesus. Yeah, no worries, dude.